Da. And I was in a bookstore. Bashla Grunker, level 4 Big Dumb Brute. I have played for 31 hours, and like 9.5 of those have been reading. Let's see, how long have I read? Because I had to change the time. I forgot to add the time for one of the books last time. Yeah, 9.5 hours. Alright, go ahead and load this up.
This better be important.
It's not. I'm just here to read all of the books. And see if my sister would like any of them. Alright. Let's start at the top, at the left, and let's work our way over. Got 2 copies of each of these, I see. Alright. Brothers of Darkness, I've read. 5 Songs of King Wulfharth. First new book. First new book of the stream. This guy's gonna keep trying to walk past me, I think. The 5 Songs of King Wulfharth. Shore's Tongue. The first song... The first song of King... Oh my goodness. The first song of King Wulfharth is ancient, circa First Era 500. After the defeat of the Elysian army at Glenumbria... Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have a little coffee real quick and try that again. Have I barely spoken aloud so far today? Yes. Should I have jumped right to reading? Perhaps not. Let's see. After the defeat of the Elysian army at Glenumbria Moors, where King Hoag Marekiller was slain, Wulfharth of Atmora was elected by the Pact of Chieftains. His Thu'um was so powerful that he could not verbally swear into the office, and scribes were used to draw up his oaths. Immediately thereafter, the scribes wrote down the first new law of his reign, a fiery reinstatement of the traditional Nordic pantheon. The edicts were outlawed, their priests put to the stake, and their halls set ablaze. The shadow of King Borgus had ended for a span. For his zealotry, King Wulfharth was called Shore's Tongue, and Ysmir, Dragon of the North. Kyne's son. The second song of King Wulfharth glorifies his deeds in the eyes of the old gods. He fights the eastern orcs and shouts their chief into hell. He rebuilds the 418th step of High Hrothgar, which had been damaged by a dragon. When he swallowed a thundercloud to keep his army from catching cold, the Nords called him the Breath of Kyne. Old Knocker. The third song of King Wulfharth tells of his death. Orki, an enemy god, had always tried to ruin the Nords, even in Atmora where he stole their years away. Seeing the strength of King Wulfharth, Orki summoned the gods of Alduin Time Eater again. Nearly every Nord was eaten down to 6 years old. Boy Wulfharth pleaded to Shore, the dead chieftain of the gods, to help his people. Shore's own ghost then fought the Time Eater on the spirit plane, as he did at the beginning of time, and he won, and Orki's folk, the orcs, were ruined. As Boy Wulfharth watched the battle in the sky, he learned a new Thu'um, what happens when you shake the dragon just so. He used this new magic to change his people back to normal. In his haste to save so many, though, he shook too many years out of himself. He grew older than the Greybeards and died, and the flames of his pyre were said to have reached the hearth of Kyne itself. Hey Jazz, how are you? Welcome in. Sending a huge bag of love and support? And go take a nap. I support your nap, Jazz. Thank you for stopping by. The Ash King. The fourth song of King Wulfharth tells of his rebirth. The dwarves and devils of the Eastern Kingdom had started to fight again, and the Nords hoped they might reclaim their ancient holdings there because of it. They planned an attack, but then gave up, knowing that they had no strong king to lead them. Then in walked the devil of Dagoth, who swore he came in peace. Moreover, he told the Nords a wondrous thing. He knew where the heart of Shore was. Long ago, the chief of the gods had been killed by elven giants, and they ripped out Shore's heart and used it as a standard to strike fear into the Nords. This worked until Ysgramor shouted some sense, and the Nords fought back again. Knowing that they were going to lose eventually, the elven giants hid the heart of Shore so that the Nords might never have their god back. But here was the devil of Dagoth with good news. The dwarves and devils of the Eastern Kingdom had his heart, and this was the reason for their recent unrest. The Nords asked the Devil of Dagoth why he might betray his countrymen so, and he said that the devils have betrayed each other since the beginning of time, and this was so, and so the Nords believed him. The tongue sung Shor's ghost into the world again. Shor gathered an army as he did of old, and then he sucked in the long-strewn ashes of King Wulfharth and remade him, for he needed a good general. But the Devil of Dagoth petitioned to be that general too, and he pointed out his role as the blessed harbinger of this holy war. So Shor had two generals, the Ash King and the Devil of Dagoth, and he marched on the Eastern Kingdoms with all the sons of Skyrim. Hello, Splicer, welcome in. How are you doing today? I'm gonna have a little sip of my coffee before I keep reading. I hope you're ready for story time. You're good? It's been a while since you dropped in. It has been a little while. I'm happy to see you, though. Always happy to see you. Glad to hear you've been well, or you are well. I hope you have been well as well. Red Mountain. The fifth song of King Wulfharth is sad. The survivors of the disaster came back under a red sky. That year is called Sun's Death. The Devil of Dagoth had tricked the Nords, for the heart of Shor was not in the Eastern Kingdoms and had never been there at all. As soon as Shor's army had got to Red Mountain, all the devils and dwarves fell upon them. Their sorcerers lifted the mountain and threw it on Shor, trapping him underneath Red Mountain until the end of time. They slaughtered the sons of Skyrim, but not before King Wulfharth killed King Dumalakath, the dwarf orc, and doomed his people. Then Vivec, the devil, blasted the Ash King into hell, and it was over. Later, Kyne lifted the ashes of Ysmir into the sky, saving him from hell, and showing her sons the color of blood when it is brought by betrayal. And the Nords will never trust another devil again. You just got done with a 24 hours Lord of the Ring party. Wow. You must be tired. That sounds like a bunch of fun, though. Bunch of fun. What do you do for 24 hours? Wow. There's probably 24 hours worth of media, huh? At this point. That sounds like so much fun, though. Did you do, like, costumes and stuff? I love costumes. But I'm such a nerd. The Secret Song of Wulfharth Ash King. The Truth at Red Mountain. The heart of Shor was in Resdain, as Dagoth had promised. As Shor's army approached the westernmost bank of the Inner Sea, they stared across at Red Mountain, where the Dwemer armies had gathered. News from the scouts reported that the Chimeri forces had just left Narcissus, and that they were taking their time joining their cousins against the Nords. Dagoth said that the tribunal had betrayed their king's trust, that they sent Dagoth to Lorkhan, for that is what they called Shor in Resdain, so that the god might wreak vengeance on the dwarves for their hubris. That Nerevar's peace with the Dwemer would be the ruin of the Velothi way. This was the reason for the slow muster, Dagoth said. The armies grow. And Lorkhan, for that is what they called Shor in Resdain, said, I do not wreak vengeance on the dwarves for the reasons that the tribunal might believe I do. Nevertheless, it is true that they will die by my hand, and whoever should side with them. This Nerevar is the son of Boethiah, one of the strongest Patamaics. He is a hero to his people despite his tribunal, and he shall muster enough that this battle will be harder going still. We will need more than what we have. And so Dagoth, who wanted the dwarves as dead as the tribunal did, went to Kogorin and summoned his house Chapthiel, his Nixhounds, his wizards, archers, his stolen men of brass, and the Ash King. And the Ash King, Wulfharth, hoary Ysmir, went and made peace with the orcs in spite of his Nordic blood, and they brought many warriors, but no wizards at all. Many Nords could not bring themselves to ally with their traditional enemies, even in the face of Red Mountain. They were close to desertion. Then Wulfharth said, Don't you see where you really are? Don't you know who Shor really is? Don't you know what this war is? And they looked from the king to the god to the devils and orcs, and some knew, really knew, and they are the ones that stayed. The Doom Drum. Nerevar carried Keening, a dagger made of the sound of the shadow of the moons. His champions were Dumak Dwarf King, who carried a hammer of divine mass, and Alandro Sul, who was the immortal son of Azura and wore the Wraith mail. They met Lorcan at the last battle of Red Mountain. Lorcan had been his heart again, but he had long been from it. Lorcan had his heart again, but he had long been from it, and he needed time. Wulfharth met Sul, but he could not strike him, and he fell from grievous wounds, but not before shouting Sul blind. Dagothr met Dumak and slew him, but not before Sunder struck his lord's heart. Nerevar turned away from Lorcan and struck down Dagothr in rage, but he took a mortal wound from Lorcan in turn. But Nerevar feigned the death that was coming early, and so struck Lorcan with surprise on his side. The heart had been made solid by Sunder's tuning blow, and keening could now cut it out. And it was cut out. And Lorcan was defeated, and the whole ordeal was thought over. I love, like, the myths and the legends. This one was called Five Salch. A-R-T-H. Wulfharth. Alright. Ancestors and the Dunmer. Have I read this one? I have to look up. If I've read it. Ancestors. No, I have not. Alright. Next book. Ancestors and the Dunmer. Ghosts walk among them. The departed spirits of the Dunmeri, and perhaps those of all races, persist after death. The knowledge and power of departed ancestors benefit the bloodlines of Dunmeri houses. The bond between the living family members and immortal ancestors is partly blood, partly ritual, and partly volitional. A member brought into the house through marriage binds himself through ritual and oath into the clan and gains communication and benefits from the clan's ancestors. However, his access to the ancestors is less than his offspring, and he retains some access to the ancestors of his own bloodline. I'm going to have a little bit of coffee, one sec. The Family Shrine. Each residence has a family shrine. In poorer homes, it may be no more than a hearth or alcove where family relics are displayed and venerated. In wealthy homes, a room is set aside for the use of the ancestors. This shrine is called the Waiting Door and represents the door to oblivion. Here, the family members pay their respects to their ancestors through sacrifice and prayer, through oaths sworn upon duties, and through reports on the affairs of the family. In return, the family may receive information, training, and blessings of the family. In return, the family may receive information, training, and blessings from the family's ancestors. The ancestors are thus the protectors of the home, and especially the precincts of the Waiting Door. The Ghost Fence. It is a family's most solemn duty to make sure their ancestors' remains are interred properly in a city of the dead such as Necrom. Here, the spirits draw comfort from one another against the chill of the mortal world. However, as a sign of great honor and sacrifice, an ancestor may grant that part of his remains be retained to serve as part of a ghost fence, protecting the clan's shrine and family precincts. Such an arrangement is often part of the family member's will, that a knuckle bone shall be saved out of his remains and incorporated with solemn magic and ceremony into a clan ghost fence. In more exceptional cases, an entire skeleton or even a preserved corpse may be bound into a ghost fence. These remains become a beacon and focus for ancestral spirits and for the spirit of the remains in particular. The more remains used to make a ghost fence, the more powerful the fence is. And the most powerful mortals in life have the most powerful remains. The Great Ghost Fence, created by the Tribunal to hold back the Blight, incorporates the bones of many heroes of the temple and of the houses Induril and Redoran, who dedicated their spirits to the temple and clan as their surrogate families. The Ghost Fence also contains bones taken from the catacombs of Necrom and the many battlefields of Morrowind. The Mortal Chill. Spirits do not like to visit the mortal world, and they do so only out of duty and obligation. Spirits tell us that the other world is more pleasant, or at least more comfortable for spirits than our real world, which is cold, bitter, and full of pain and loss. Mad spirits. Spirits that are forced to remain in our world against their will may become mad spirits or ghosts. Some spirits are bound to this world because of some terrible circumstances of their death, or because of some powerful emotion bond. Some spirits are bound to this world because of some terrible circumstances of their death, or because of some powerful emotional bond to a person, place, or thing. These are called hauntings. Some spirits are captured and bound to enchanted items by wizards. If the binding is involuntary, the spirit usually goes mad. A willing spirit may or may not retain its sanity, depending on the strength of the spirit and the wisdom of the enchanter. Some spirits are bound against their will to protect family shrines. This unpleasant fate is reserved for those who have not served the family faithfully in life. Dutiful and honorable ancestral spirits often aid in the capture and binding of wayward spirits. These spirits usually go mad and make terrifying guardians. They are ritually prevented from harming mortals of their clans, but that does not necessarily discourage them from mischievous or peevish behavior. They are exceedingly dangerous for intruders. At the same time, if an intruder can penetrate the spirit's madness and play upon the spirit's resentment of his own clan, the angry spirits may be manipulated. I'm gonna have a little more coffee. Almost done with it. Should finish it next time. Alright. Oblivion. The existence of oblivion is acknowledged by all Tamriel cultures, but there's little agreement on the nature of that other world, other than it is the place where the Aedra and Daedra live, and that communication and travel are possible between this world and oblivion through magic and ritual. The Dunmer do not emphasize the distinction between the world and oblivion as they do the human culture. The Dunmer do not emphasize the distinction between this world and oblivion as do the human cultures of Tamriel. They regard our world and the other world as a whole, with many paths from one end to the other, rather than two separate worlds of different natures with distinct borders. This philosophical viewpoint may account for the greater affinity of elves for magic and its practices. Foreign views of Dunmeri ancestor worship and spirit magic. The Altmeri and Bosmeri cultures also venerate their ancestors, but only by respecting the orderly and blissful passage of these spirits from this world to the next. That is, Wood Elves and High Elves believe it is cruel and unnatural to encourage the spirits of the dead to linger in our world. Even more grotesque and repugnant is the display of the bodily remains of ancestors in ghost fences and ash pits. The presentation of finger bones in a family shrine, for example, is sacrilegious to the Bosmer, who eat their dead, and barbaric to the Altmer, who inter their dead. The human cultures of Tamriel are ignorant and fearful of dark elves and their culture, considering them to be inhuman and evil, like orcs and Argonians, but more sophisticated. The human populations of Tamriel associate Dunmeri ancestor worship and spirit magic with necromancy. In fact, this association of the dark elves with necromancy is at least partly responsible for the dark reputation of Dunmer throughout Tamriel. This is generally an ignorant misconception, for necromancy outside the acceptable clan rituals is a most abhorrent abomination in the eyes of the Dunmer. The Dark Elves would never think of practicing sorcerous necromancy upon any Dark Elf or upon the remains of any elf. However, Dark Elves consider the human and orcish races to be little more than animals. There is no injunction against necromancy upon such remains or on the remains of any animal, bird, or insect. Imperial policy officially recognizes the practices of Dunmeri ancestor veneration and spirit magic as a religion, and protects their freedom to pursue such practices so long as they do not threaten the security of the Empire. Privately, most Imperial officials and traders believe Dark Elf ancestor worship and displays of remains are barbaric, or even necromantic. Telvanni necromancy. The Telvanni are adept masters of necromancy. They do not, however, practice necromancy upon the remains of Dark Elves. Sane Telvanni regard such practices with loathing and righteous anger. They do practice necromancy upon the remains of animals and upon the remains of humans, orcs, and Argonians, who are technically no more than animals in Morrowind. Lovely, I'm no more than an animal. Like, Bashla's no more than an animal, but also if I was there. Although, does that refer just to the Argonians or to all three? Alright. Anyway. Publisher's note. This book was written by an unknown scholar as a guide for foreign visitors to Morrowind shortly after the armistice was signed. Many of these practices have since fallen into disfavor. The most obvious changes are those regarding the practice of necromancy and the Great Ghost Fence. Dunmer today regard necromancy upon any of the accepted races as an abomination. The ghost fence has forced many changes in the practice of ancestor worship. With the vast majority of ancestors' remains going to strengthen the great ghost fence around the mountain of Dagathur, there are very few clan ghost fences in Morrowind. The temple discourages such practices among the houses as selfish. The upkeep of family tombs and private waiting doors has also fallen into disfavor, as very few remains have been buried in these tombs and shrines since the armistice. In recent years, most Dunmer venerate a small portion of their ancestors' remains kept at a local temple. Huh.
I suppose you're
I feel like I just learned something important
I'm
there.
sure I can't help.
Alright, real quick, I'm gonna drink more coffee. I'm gonna finish it up before I read the next book. Hello, local dumbass one. And Shero! Hey! Welcome in! I'm about to read some more. I'm just gonna drink some coffee real quick. Yes! Now it's the Shero Mambo. You saw that clip I made then, I guess. Oh, have I read Mysterious Akavir? I have. I have read Mysterious Akavir. Okay. Words of the Wind. That one sounds new. Yeah, I have not read this one. Words of the Wind. Hey, hippie bloke, welcome in. Oh, I'm a possum. I'm a possum, yay. And how are you all, by the way? Local dumbass one, Shero, and hippie bloke. Y'all arrived at right about the same time. So how are you doing? Words of the Wind. This is a volume of verse collected from Ashlander wise women. May I Shrink to Dust is from the Ahnissi. Okay. May I Shrink to Dust is from the Ahnissi Ashlanders of the Grayslands. It's been a busy couple of weeks, hippie bloke. Oh no. I don't like being busy. I don't like having nothing to do either, though. You need a good middle, right? Well, I'm glad you're here, and you're having, hopefully, a restful moment. May I shrink to dust in your cold wild wastes, and may my tongue speak its last hymn to your winds. I pray for the herder that whistles to his guar at play. I pray for the hunter that stalks the white walkers. I pray for the wise one that seeks under the hill, and the wife who wishes for one last touch of her dead child's hand. I will not pray for that which I've lost, when my heart springs forth from your soil like a seed and blossoms anew beneath tomorrow's sun. Sometimes I don't really get poetry. I'm like Bashla like that, I guess. Oh shit, you're a VIP? Of course you're a VIP, hippie bloke. You were like the first VIP. Yeah! I hit 50 followers and I was able to hand out VIP to people. So I gave it to the people who've been around for a while and kind of have helped my channel get to where it's at. So thank you for being VIP, hippie bloke. I mean, you were here from the first Oblivion stream, so I can't forget you. Alright. The 5 Far Stars. This is a volume of verse collected from wise women of the Urshilaku Ashlanders. It consists of verses composed by Ashlander warriors, champions, and Ashkans, committed to memory by the wise women and transmitted down the generations. May I Shrink to Dust is attributed to the long-dead poet and warrior Zershishi Musmanul. Rise from darkness, Red Mountain. Spread your dark clouds and green vapors. Birth earthquakes, shatter stones, feed the winds with fire. Flay the tents of the tribes from the land. Feed the burned earth with our souls. Yet never shall you have your rule over me. Never shall I tremble or flinch from your power. Never shall I yield my home and hearth, and from my tears shall spring forth the flowers of grassland springs. Almost did it in one take. It brings a tear to your eye. I'm just happy every time you're here. 5 Far Stars. And Ashland Hymns. Getting lots of songs and poetry. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with songs and poetry. Ashland's Hymns. This is a volume of folk verses collected from Ashlanders. Wondrous Love is from Urshilaku Ashlanders. Wondrous Love is from the Urshilaku Ashlanders of the Northern Ashlands. What a wondrous love it is to bind two souls in faith, chained together completely, with never a false word. Weal and woe, wish and real, woven each together, from first kiss to last breath, first and last whispered in love. Alright. Ashland Hymns. If all the books are like this might be the fastest visit to a bookshop ever. Oh, Frontier Conquest I've read. Hello, Captain. Good morning. How are you? I'm doing reading today. I think I've done the annotated Anuad. Yeah, I've done that one. And the True Nature of Orcs. Look, it's more songs. I read this one in Oblivion too, a less rude song. I never did find a more rude song. I'm waiting for that one. A Less Rude Song by Anonymous. They say the Iliac Bay is the place to barrel around without a bit of apparel on, as advertised in that carol song, a tune that's sung as the west wind blows about it lovely, not wearing any clothes, ladies singing high notes, men singing lows, implying that the most luscious depravity and most complete absence of serious gravity can only be found in the waterous cavity of Iliac Bay. If you are the type who is more a sinner than sinned, you'll find it all in Morrowind. But the truth, my child, is that nothing more wild But the truth, my child, is that nothing more wild than an ordinary fashion, kind of slightly mad passion can be detected, if at all, in Sentinel and Daggerfall. Whatever your odd needs, feathered, scaled, or finned, you'll find it all in Morrowind. It's an invention of bards that Bretons and Redguards have more than some styed fun, and suffer deviant fornication. For the most of madness, not the least, the wise debaucher heads out east. Where your once steely reserve is now merely tinned, you'll find it all in Morrowind. In Morrowind, there is sin, but pray do not confuse Dunmer variety with that found in tepid Western society, compared to which it nearly is piety. It isn't terribly ingenious, calling it prudery, observing the dark elf aversion to nudity. After all, the preferred sort of ludity in these parts is far more pernicious. From the Ashlanders to the wettest fishes, you'll find pleasure and pain quite delicious in Morrowind. If you find yourself with unkind kinship with your kin, you'll find it all in Morrowind. I like that one. I thought that was a fun one last time too. The rhymes on that one are fun. When I can get them right. Less Rude Song, The Firmament I've read. Do you need buy? Banger, right? It's great. It's a great one. The Mystery of Talara Part 5. I think I read Part 1. I think I read Part 5 in Oblivion, but not here. And I think I haven't ever read any of the others. So, story time. Proper story. It's been all poetry time so far. Proper story time. The Mystery of Princess Talara, Part 5. The Final Chapter and Solution by Mira Leakith. Hello, Luffy! Welcome in, welcome in! I'm happy you're here. Possum, possum. I'm not a possum anymore. I was. Hang on. I want to be a possum again. Okay, I'm a possum again. Yay! Okay. Yay! By what right do you arrest my father? Cried the Lady Chilia. What has he done? I arrest the King of Camlorn, the former Duke of Aloyne, by my right as an imperial commanding officer and ambassador, said Lord Strail, by the right of law of the Emperor of Tamriel, which supersedes all provincial royal authority. Hey, wait, you can't see it? What? And you're a van now? Oh, you can now. My brain. Is it a vertical stream? So I put out both vertical and horizontal streams. Looks like they're both going out good. I've updated, actually, if you watch vertically, when I'm reading, the upper picture doesn't really zoom out. What I do is I actually just put another one over top, and it's a little smaller, so you should be able to see the whole book in the big zoomed in screen. Oh, Hippie Bloke! Thank you for the gift sub! So it should work out either way, whether you're doing vertically or horizontally. You should be able to see it. Thank you for the gift sub, hippie bloke. And welcome in, Shiro. You now have access to all of the emotes. That's the word I'm looking for. Especially the ones made by our own channel artist. Who, nepotism is fine, is my kid. Oh yeah, the garlic too. The garlics were also made by the channel artist, and the book. These ones as well. Those are all custom made for this channel. You have access to those. Hope you enjoy. Welcome on in. You want to see horizontal though? If you're watching on your phone and you turn horizontal, you should be able to see it horizontal. Or are you just saying that streaming vertically is a bad idea all the way around? Luffy! Thank you for the gift sub, hippie bloke. And welcome in. You're now a sub, Luffy. You get all the emotes too. Yay, horizontal. Oh, does being a sub let you watch in different ways? I'm not sure how these things work. I have only used my phone like twice when my laptop cable wasn't working. My laptop charger. Yay! Now you have another badge, hippie bloke. Possum. Book. Okay, I'll get back to the book. Alright. Gina came forward and tried to put her hand on Jilia's arm, but she was coldly rebuffed. Quietly, she sat down at the foot of the throne in the now empty audience chamber. This young lady came to me, having completely recovered her memory, but the story she told was beyond incredible. I simply couldn't believe it, said Lord Strail. But she was so convinced of it, I had to investigate. So I talked to everyone who was here at the palace 20 years ago to see if there could be any truth to it. Of course, at the time of the king and queen's murder, and the princess's disappearance, there was a full inquiry made. But I had different questions to ask this time. Questions about the relationship between the two little cousins, Lady Jilia Reyes and the princess. I've told everyone over and over again I don't remember anything at all about that time in my life, said Jilia, tears welling up. I know you don't. There's never been a question in my mind that you witnessed a horrible murder and that your memory lapse and hers, said Lord Strail, gesturing towards Gina, are both very real. The story I heard from the servants and other people at the palace was that the little girls were inseparably close, that there were no other playmates, and, as the princess's place was to be close to her parents, so the little Lady Jilia was always there as well. When the assassin came to murder the royal family, the king and queen were in their bedroom and the girls were playing in the throne room. When my memory came back to me, it was like opening a sealed box, said Gina solemnly. Everything was so clear and detailed, like it all happened yesterday, not 20 years ago. I was on the throne, playing Empress, and you were hiding behind the dais, pretending you were in a dungeon I had sent you to. A man I had never seen burst into the room from the royal bedchamber, his blade soaked in blood. He came at me, and I ran for my life. I remember starting to run for the dais, but I saw your face, frozen in fear, and I didn't want to lead him to you. So I ran for the window. We had climbed on the outside of the castle before, just for fun. That was one of the first memories that came back to me when I was holding on to that cliff. You and I, on the castle wall, and the king calling up to me, telling me how to get down. But that day, I couldn't hold on. I was trembling so much I just fell and landed in the river. I don't know if it was entirely the horror of what I had seen, or that combined with the impact of the fall and the coldness of the water, but everything just went blank in my mind. When I finally pulled myself out of the river, many miles away, I had no idea who I was. And so it stayed, Gina smiled, until now. So, you are the Princess Talara? Cried Jilia. Let me explain further before she answers that. Because the simple answer would just confuse you, as it did me, said Lord Strail. The assassin was caught before he managed to escape the palace. In truth, he had to know he was going to be caught. He confessed immediately to the murders of the royal family. The princess, he said, he had thrown out the window to her death. A servant down below heard the scream and saw something fly past the window, so he knew it to be true. It was not for several hours that little Lady Jilia was found by her nursemaid Ramke hiding behind the dais, coated with dust, shivering with fear, and unable to speak at all. Ramke was very protective of you, Strail said, nodding to Julia. She insisted on putting you to her room. She insisted on putting you to your room right away, and sent word to the Duke of Ald'ruhn that the royal family was dead, and that his daughter had witnessed the murders but survived. I'm beginning to remember a little of that, said Julia wonderingly. I remember lying in a bed, with Ramke comforting me. I was so muddled and I couldn't concentrate. I remember I just wanted it all to be playtime still. I don't know why. And then I remember being bundled up and taken to that asylum. It'll all come back to you soon, Gina smiled. I promise. That's how I began to remember. I just caught one detail, and the whole flood began. That's it, Julia began to sob in frustration. I don't remember anything else except confusion. No, I also remember Daddy not even looking at me as I was taken away. And I remember not caring about that or anything else. You were not here, you got a sub? WTF, hey Shiro. Hippie bloke gave you a gift sub. You and Luffy. Is it Luffy or Luffy? I'm not sure. Welcome in. You got all the emotes. It's Luffy. Okay. The two F's make me want to say Luffy. You know, English rules. American English pronunciation rules, I should say. Yay! Yay! You got Cheersa! You got the possums! You got, what else was there? You got the garlic. And the cheddar, of course. It was a confusing time for all. Particularly so for little girls. Especially little girls who went through what you two did, said Lord Strail sympathetically. From what I understand, as soon as he received the message from Ramke, the Duke left his palace at Ald'ruhn, gave orders for you to be sent to a private sanitarium until you'd recovered from your ordeal, and set to work with his private guard torturing the assassin for information. When I heard that no one but the Duke and his personal guard saw the assassin after he gave his initial confession, that no one but the Duke and his personal guard saw the assassin after he gave his initial confession, and that no one was present but the Duke and his guards when the assassin was killed trying to escape. I thought that very significant. English rules, like the rules of English, or like, yay, English freaking rules. I meant the general pronunciation guides that spelling can give us in American English. But also, I do think English rules. English is an awesome language. I enjoy speaking it, but I would probably say that about any other language too. They're all awesome. But of course I'd say that, right? I spoke with Lord Errol, who I knew was one of those present, and I had to bluff him, pretending I had more evidence than I did, and I got the reaction I was hoping for, though it was a dangerous gambit. At last, he confessed to what I already knew to be true. The assassin, Lord Strail paused and reluctantly met Julia's eyes, had been hired by the Duke of Ald'ruhn to kill the royal family, including the princess's heir, so that the crown might be passed to him and his children. Julia stared at Lord Strail, aghast. My father! The assassin had been told that once the Duke had him in custody, he would be paid and a prison break would be arranged. The thug picked the wrong time to be greedy and tried to get more gold. The Duke decided that it would be cheaper to silence him, so he murdered him then and there, so the man would never tell anyone what really happened. Lord Strail shrugged. No tragic loss as far as murders go. In a few years' time, you returned from the sanitarium, a little shaken but back to normal, except for a complete absence of memory about your childhood. And in that time, the former Duke of Ald'ruhn had taken his brother's place as the King of Camlorn. It was no small maneuver. No, said Julia quietly. He must have been very busy. He remarried and had another child. No one ever came to visit me in the sanitarium but Ramke. If he had visited and seen you... Oh. I gotta remember what voices I'm doing. Big air quotes around voices. If he had visited and seen you, said Sheena, this story might have turned out very differently. What do you mean? Asked Julia. This is the most amazing part, said Lord Strail. The question has long been whether Gina is the Princess Talara. When her memory returned and she told me what she remembered, I put several pieces of evidence together. Consider these facts. The two of you look remarkably alike now, after 20 years of living very different lives, and as little girls and constant playmates, you looked nearly identical. At the time of the assassination, the murderer, who had never been there before, only saw one girl on the throne, who he assumed to be his quarry. The woman who found Lady Julia was her nursemaid, Ramkey, a creature of unstable mind and fanatical devotion to her charge. The type would never accept the possibility that her beloved little girl had been the one who disappeared. The nursemaid was the only single person who knew both Princess Talara and the Lady Julia, who visited you while you were in the sanitarium. Finally, said Lord Strail, consider the fact that when you returned to court from the sanitarium, 5 years had passed, and you had grown from a child to a young lady. You looked familiar, but not quite the same as your family remembered you, which is only natural. I don't understand, cried the poor girl, her eyes wide, because she did understand. Here, memory was falling together like a Is it here or her? I'm not sure if that's a typo or not. Her memory was falling together like a terrible flood. Let me explain it like this, said her cousin, wrapping her in her arms. I know who I am now. My real name is Julia Reyes. That man who was arrested was my father, the man who murdered the king. Your father. You are the Princess Talara. Ha ha. That's the first one I read of this, was the end and solving the mystery of Princess Talara. And this is part 5. Alright. Oh, you remember me talking about there being typos and stuff. Yeah. Sometimes I'm not quite sure how to parse something. It is a fun story. Do we have any idea what or where Camlorn is? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't. I read the Confessions of a Skooma Eater last time, but look, there's more books over here. It is a whole bookstore after all. There's even a downstairs. Lives of the Saints. Oh, I've read that one. Words of Clan Mother Ahnissi. This is new. I like that you like the bot that gives how long she's been reading for. How is Morrowind in 2026? Not too jank? You know, it's working fine for me. The inventory system is different, and that I have a little trouble with sometimes, remembering how it works. But with the mods and everything I have, it's been okay. I use the iHeart Vanilla Director's Cut mod pack on OpenMW. And then I also added an extra mod that shows me if I'm stealing stuff or not. Because the basic mod pack, you can't see if stuff is owned, so you don't know if you're stealing it. So I added something that shows me that. And that's it. That's all I've got. But it works okay. I haven't had much trouble. Most of the jankiness I have is jankiness I introduced in order to allow people to spend channel points to make me, like, punch or use a spell or something. And I'm still waiting on someone to finish making me a mod that will make that much less jankier. Less jankier? Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. Less jankier. Okay. I know English grammar. Alright. Let's read. Words of Clan Mother Ahnissi to her favored daughter. Ahnissi tells you, you are no longer a mewing kitten, and you have learned to keep secrets from Ahnissi. So Ahnissi tells you. In the beginning, there were 2 litter mates, Anur and Faromai. After many phases, Faromai said to Anur, let us wed and make children to share our happiness. And they gave birth to Alkosh, the first cat. And Anur said, Alkosh, we give you time for what is as fast or as slow as a cat. And they gave birth to Kenarthi, the winds. Kenarthi, to you we give the sky, for what can fly higher than the wind? And they gave birth to Megris, the cat's eye. Megris, to you we give the sun, for what is brighter than the eye of a cat? And they gave birth to Mara, the mother cat. Mara, you are love, for what is more loving than a mother? And they gave birth to Srendar, the runt. Srendar, we give you mercy, for how does a runt survive except by mercy? And how many phases passed? Oh, and many phases passed. And Anur and Farumai were happy. And Anur said, "We should have more children, share our happiness." And Farumai agreed, and she gave birth to Hermora, and she gave birth to Hircine, and she gave birth to Meruns, and Mafala, and Sangin, and Shegorath, and many others. And Farumai said, "Hermora, you are the tides, for who can say whether the moons predict the tides or the tides predict the moons? Hircine, you are the hungry cat, for what hunts better than a cat with an empty belly? Meruns, you are the Jakajit, for what is more destructive than a kitten? Mafala, you are the clan mother, for what is more secretive than the ways of the clan mothers? Sangin, you are the blood cat, for who can control the urges of blood? Shegorath, you are the skooma cat, for what is crazier than a cat on skooma?" And Anur said, "2 litters is enough, for too many children will steal our happiness." But Canarthi went to Farumai and said, "Farumai mother, Canarthi grows lonely, so high above the world where not even my brother Alkosh can fly." Farumai took pity on her and tricked Anur to make her pregnant again. And Farumai gave birth to the moons and their motions, and she gave birth to Nirni, the majestic sands and lush forests, and she gave birth to Azura, the dusk and dawn. And from the beginning Nirni and Azura fought for their mother's favor, and Anur caught Farumai while she was still birthing, and he was angry. Anur struck Farumai, and she fled to birth the last of her litter far away in the great darkness. Farumai's children heard what had happened, and they all came to be with her and protect her from Anur's anger. And Farumai gave birth to Lorkaj, the last of her litter, and in the great darkness. And the heart of Lorkaj was filled with the great darkness. And when he was born, the great darkness knew its name, and it was Namira. And Farumai knew her time was near. Farumai said, "Jakajay, to you Farumai gives the lattice, for what is steadier than the phases of the moons? Your eternal motion will protect us from Anur's anger." And the moons left to take their place in the heavens. And Anur growled and shook the great darkness, but he could not cross the lattice. And Farumai said, "Nirni, to you Farumai leaves her greatest gift. You will give birth to many people as Farumai gave birth today." When Nirni saw that Azura had nothing, Nirni left smiling. And all Farumai's children left except Azura. And Farumai said, "To you, my favored daughter, Farumai leaves her greatest gift. To you, Farumai leaves her secrets." And Farumai told her favored daughter 3 things. And Farumai said, "When Nirni is filled with her children, take one of them and change them. Make the fastest, cleverest, most beautiful people, and call them Khajiit." And Farumai said, "The Khajiit must be the best climbers, for if Masser and Secunda fail, they must climb Canarthi's breath to set the moons back in their courses." And Farumai said, "The Khajiit must be the best deceivers, for they must always hide their nature from the children of Anur." And Farumai said, "The Khajiit must be the best survivors, for Nirni will be jealous, and she will make the sands harsh and the forests unforgiving, and the Khajiit will always be hungry and at war with Nirni." And with these words, Farumai died. After many phases, Nirni came to Lorkaj and said, "Lorkaj, Farumai told me to give birth to many children, but there is no place for them." And Lorkaj said, "Lorkaj makes a place for children, and Lorkaj puts you there so you can give birth." But the heart of Lorkaj was filled with the great darkness, and Lorkaj tricked his siblings so that they were forced into this new place with Nirni. And many of Farumai's children escaped and became the stars, and many of Farumai's children died to make Nirni's path stable, and the survivors stayed and punished Lorkaj. The children of Farumai tore out the heart of Lorkaj and hid it deep within Nirni, and they said, "We curse you, noisy Lorkaj, to walk Nirni for many phases." But Nirni soon forgave Lorkaj, for Nirni could make children, and she filled herself with children, but cried because her favorite children, the forest people, did not know their shape. And Azura came to her and said, "Poor Nirni, stop your tears. Azura makes for you a gift of a new people." Nirni stopped weeping, and Azura spoke the first secret to the moons, and they parted and let Azura pass. And Azura took some forest people who were torn between man and beast, and she placed them in the best deserts and forests on Nirni. And Azura in her wisdom made them of many shapes, one for every purpose. And Azura named them Khajiit, and told them her second secret, and taught them the value of secrets. And Azura bound the new Khajiit to the lunar lattice, as is proper for Nirni's secret defenders. Then Azura spoke the third secret, and the moons shone down on the marshes, and their light became sugar. But Ifer heard the first secret and snuck in behind Azura. And Ifer could not appreciate secrets, and he told Nirni of Azura's trick. So Nirni made the deserts hot and the sands biting, and Nirni made the forests wet and filled with poisons. And Nirni thanked Ifer and let him change the forest people also. And Ifer did not have Azura's did not have Azura's subtle wisdom, so Ifer made the forest people elves always, and never beasts. And Ifer named them Bosmer, and from that moment they were no longer in the same litter as the Khajiit. And because Ifer had no appreciation for secrets, he shouted the first secret across all the heavens with his last breath, so that all of Fatomai's children could cross the lattice. But Azura, in her wisdom, closed the ears of angry Anur and noisy Lorkaj, so they alone did closed the ears of angry Anur and noisy Lorkaj, so they alone did not hear the word. Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's hard just getting the last sentence out. I liked that one. I liked that one a lot. Words of Clan Mother Ahnissi. Special Flora of Tamriel. I have read that one. Reflections on Cult Worship? I'm not sure.
What stranger?
Let's see. Yes, I have read Reflections on Cult Worship. I've read it twice, apparently. So that's great. Apparently I read that one twice. Ruins of Kemalze, Saryoni's Sermons. I have read those. Alright. Steal the skooma. Was there skooma somewhere? But also they could see me. So probably I shouldn't steal things. The Doors of the Spirit. Have I done this one? Yes, I have read that one. Is it cold in Morrowind? I mean, this doesn't even make sense.
What stranger?
I guess they expect the smoke to go out there. Okay. I suppose that makes a little more sense. I thought it was capped on the top.
I suppose you...
No, I'm trying to get downstairs. Get out of my way. Trying to see if there's more books down here. That is a robe. That's a chest. Oh no, did I clear out the bookshop in less than an hour? Splicer, thank you for the bit. Steal a book. If I steal a book, I will go to jail because they will see me.
I suppose you're looking. I'm sure I...
They will see me. They will see me. Will they see me? Maybe. Out of the way. Out of the way. Out of the way. Out of the way. You didn't see me for a second. I'm not sneaking. He's staring at me. Go back down there. Nah.
What, Outlander?
I'm trying to steal a book, okay? Alright. Can I steal it from here? Ha! Ah! I should have saved first. That would have been smart, huh? I'll just pay the gold. Okay. Saving first would have been the smart thing to do. Oh, Splicer, thank you! I'm just always up to have a little chaos. Speaking of, yes, that is working.
What, Outlander?
Speaking of, my chaos rewards are active. Thank you, Splicer! So, the plan was, last time I found myself in a bookstore, I spent the whole stream there. I kind of thought that might happen again. It didn't. So I should probably check, like, my journal.
You talk to him.
A little fun here and there. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I talk too much? Redo Thrill? Let's see. Have you heard any rumors? He says, have you noticed, for all its proclamations about protecting the rights of property and preserving law and order, the Imperial Legion does little enough to capture and prosecute abolitionists? That's a bit hypocritical, don't you think? Ah, hey, I found one of the guys who's pro-slavery. Luffy! You're first! Yeah! No one claimed it? Like, no one ever does. Hardly ever. There's a couple people who like to come in and claim it. If no one ever did, I might just get rid of it, but a couple people do.
Make it
Oh!
quick.
Oh, there's books here! There's books here! I didn't notice that. What books are these? What books are these? These are all books that were, like, in the bookstore or I've otherwise read. Yeah, I read The Pilgrim's Path, too. You need new books.
Make it quick.
Yeah, there's no books that I... No more books. Okay, I'll leave this person's house. No, it's a pawnbroker. It's not a house. It was a store. These look like sad faces, don't they? The houses? Like, these are the sad eyes. And they got, like, sad nose mouth things. This one's more of, like, a derpy, confused face with little beady eyes. Of course, they are supposed to look like insects, so maybe that's on purpose. And then this is the big one. I still haven't been inside. Hello, Azu! Welcome in. I thought today was going to be all reading because I was in a bookstore, but I finished it in like an hour. Yeah, let's see what this...
Talk too much. I'm sure I can.
Wolf Queen Book 4. This is where I started, I think. Oh no, this is where I was yesterday. Yeah. From Legend of Zelda. Kind of remind me of... Decus. Bashla has read 83 books. And that's just the books. That's not all the other things that get read. Scrolling back up through chat, because I did ignore it a little bit while I was reading, but it was all emotes.
Someone
So.
watching me. Oh.
Someone watching you?
No, I don't think so.
Well, let's see. I know you don't think so, but I'm gonna talk to you anyway. What do you have? Oh, I have 4,700 gold. That's okay. That's okay. My current weapon does 36 chop, 27 slash, and 4 thrust. Oh, it's the same as that one. Okay. Adamantium boots, but they're medium. I don't want medium or light, or I want heavy. I want heavy armor. Heavy? She doesn't seem to have heavy. Oh, something said heavy. Something said... Oh, that's a shield. Steel cuirass, steel helm. Oh, 24. 25. No, the one I got's better. Steel left gauntlet. 24. That's a pauldron. Wait, what's the difference between a gauntlet and a bracer? They both look like they go on like your hand arm area. Can I wear both? Do they layer? How many books have I ever read in my life? Do I have an estimate? I don't have an estimate. I would have no idea how to even start estimating that, Azu. How many books I've read? I think I did read more than 80 in my entire life. Good job, Luffy. I hope you've read more than 80 books. I mean, yeah. Is my book review working too? Yeah, that's working too. Woohoo! That's a nice command. Well, they were all school books. Define school books, though. Are they like school books like they're textbooks, or are they school books like literature that you are assigned to read while in school? Because you know you are allowed to enjoy the latter, right? I couldn't even give an estimate. I wouldn't know where to start giving an estimate for the number of books I've read in my life. Certainly it's in the hundreds. And that might be undershooting it, I'm not sure. So I wouldn't know. I got that wrong. Usually a bracer is like protecting the forearm and wrist, while the gauntlet covers the whole hand. Gauntlet's like an armor glove. Bracer's like a regular glove. Yeah. So I can't wear them both. If I can't wear them both, then I might as well just keep the bracer, because it's better. Rather than spending money on a single gauntlet. 28 gold. Alright. That answers my question about the... Thank you. Thank you, Splicer. Anyone you can help me with? Anything, I mean. No? Okay. Oh. Are you having fun with those emotes, Luffy? What's this back here? There's something. Ooh. Cliff race a fly. So high. You know they don't have feet, the cliff racers? They can't land. They spend their whole lives in the sky. Everyone needs a home library, in my opinion. I always enjoy visiting someone having a look at the books. You can tell a lot about them from their bookshelves, right? And hello, another damn peasant. I'm glad you're here. I'm seeing what this is. It was gonna be a reading stream today, but I read everything in an hour. So now I'm exploring Ald'ruhn. I think I had some things to do. Okay, you guys hear that, right? Is this place haunted? Of course manga counts. Why wouldn't it count? It's a book. Audiobooks count. They all count. Ancestors and the Dunmer. Like, I literally just read this one, didn't I? Yeah, I did. I tried reading some novels, but my ADHD doesn't allow me to focus on novels. Just didn't get a novel that engages your ADHD correctly. That's all. That's all. You just didn't find the right novel for your ADHD. Oh, then I have 100, I guess. I read manga. Alright, see, you read a bunch of books. I'm convinced that there's good books, because you can write books in any way, right? Like, it doesn't have to, books don't have to be written in the style that you typically see a book written in, first of all. And so, because you actually have a limitless, the only thing you are barely constrained by is the format of book. Like, pages between covers, and that's barely. I mean, look at House of Leaves, right? So, not that House of Leaves would be great for ADHD, it probably would be horrible. Anyway, if you haven't found a novel that you can't engage with, it's because you haven't found the right one, or maybe it's not been written. Ah! Also possible that yours hasn't been written yet. Whack! 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 These are my thoughts. Lauren voices all the books. I would read a lot more of them. Oh, that's very nice. So these people live out here next to the cliffs. Must be dangerous. I hope they don't have outhouses. Have to go outside at night to pee, and there's cliff racers. Eh. Oh, you've got a book. A Dance in Fire, Chapter 2. Dance.
That's unusual.
Dance in Fire, Volume 3. I haven't read this one. We got a new book. Yay! Thank you for the lurk, hippie bloke. Got into writing short stories a couple of years ago. Just a little I want to write something not academic thing. Short stories are fun. I'm way better at short stories than I am at like a novel. So I can't, all the interconnected stuff, nah. Give me like something simple that you want to say. That is my, Dwemer bot is my, it's my bot for my streamer bot. What's it called? Is it just streamer bot? Yeah, my brain is going kaproot. But yeah, Dwemer bot is my little bot. And it acknowledges a couple things as well as posting Bashla's reading times and things like that. I can't wait till streamers played all Elder Scrolls games, including Elder Scrolls Online, and can give us the definitive best books in this series. Well, to be clear, the top books rating, that command, that is Bashla's rating of books based on what she thinks her sister will like. It's not necessarily my rating, but of course what I think does come into play. It's not gonna get a very high rating on how fun it is if I don't like it. But that's the intent of the top books command. Alright, a new book. I don't think I've read this one. I'm excited. I love the stuff by Wayne Jarth. A Dance in Fire, Chapter 2 by Wayne Jarth. Oh, and this will be Decimus Scotti stuff too, which is just always hilarious. Always hilarious and fun. Good fun. It was a complete loss. The Cathay Rot had stolen or destroyed almost every item of value in the caravan in just a few minutes' time. Decimus Scotti's wagon load of wood he had hoped to trade with the Bosmer had been set on fire and then toppled off the bluff. His clothing and contracts were tattered and ground into the mud of dirt mixed with spilt wine. All the pilgrims, merchants, and adventurers in the group moaned and wept as they gathered the remnants of their belongings by the rising sun of the dawn. Wait, what? Oh, you thought it was a person pretending to be a bot, Luffy? Azu, I did clip the singing one, but it doesn't have the music. Ah. Give it a go. It's great fun. Pour a glass of wine, get comfy. Yep. Do a bit of writing. Writing is fun. You should share some of your stories, Another Damn Peasant. I'd love to read them. Short stories are so much fun. One of my favorite short stories that I wrote. I should be reading this one. But one of my favorite short stories that I wrote in school was actually about a dream I had. Where I dreamt I was a teddy bear. And I had beautiful, glossy, brown fur. You know, teddy bear fur. And normally, because I was a teddy bear, I didn't wear any clothes, because I was just teddy bear, right? Like a stuffed teddy bear. It's the Garlic Badge VIP. The Garlic Badge is people who were here for my affiliate party. If you were here for at least an hour on that stream, you got the Garlic Badge. You hope you get it. And my next one? It's the Cool Kids Badge, yes. Rare and precious, I think it says. Yes. Anyway, I won't tell you more about my story. No, I'm kidding. I should read this one, though. But I decided that I wanted to go to the beach. And to go to the beach, I needed to wear a swimsuit for some reason. Even though I normally didn't wear anything because I was a teddy bear. So I went to the store and I got myself a cute little bikini. And I went to the beach. And after spending the day at the beach, tanning or whatever, I left. And I wanted to wear, it's important to note that I wanted to wear the swimsuit to the beach because it was like modest. You can't just go to the beach and not have anything on for some reason, even though I normally didn't wear any clothes because I was a teddy bear. But when I took off my swimsuit, I realized that all of my beautiful glossy brown fur had bleached completely white, except for where it had been covered by the swimsuit. And so, by trying to be modest, I had essentially turned myself into a walking bikini line. Was kind of how I ended my story. That attempting to cover things up just makes them more obvious. Bikini? So the bikini line is a reference specifically to pubic hair. There is a life lesson in there somewhere. Yes, I was able to bend it around to the life lesson in my little short story that I wrote. Now we need a short story sharing stream where you read all of these. If you want to do a short story sharing stream, sure. I can read everyone's short stories. Dreams can be weird as hell. Yes. And you know what? Dreams can be weird as hell, and in all honesty, that dream, I was taking muscle relaxers at the time. I had a bunch of crazy dreams when I had that dream. But that one stuck with me. You know, you could kind of take a lesson out of it. More so than the dream where there were zombies attacking my workplace. Yeah, you get it now, you get it now. That is why the dream was so vivid. For sure, 100% muscle relaxers will do it every time. But I should get back to Wayne Jarth, eh? Decimus Scotty. One sec, I'm gonna drink a little water. Alright. Where was I at? The group moaned and wept as they gathered the remnants of their belongings by the rising sun of the dawn. I best not tell anyone that I managed to hold on to my notes for my translation of the Noriad play Bar, whispered the poet Griff Malin. They'd probably turn on me. Scotty politely declined the opportunity of telling Malin just how little value he himself placed on the man's property. Instead, he counted the coins in his purse. 34 gold pieces. Very little indeed for an entrepreneur beginning a new business. "Hoy!" came a cry from the wood. A small party of Bosmer emerged from the thicket, clad in leather mail and bearing arms. "Friend or foe?" "Neither," growled the convoy head. "You must be the Cyrodiils," laughed the leader of the group, a tall, skeleton-thin youth with a sharp, vulpine face. "We heard you were en route. Evidently, so did our enemies." "I thought the war was over," muttered one of the caravan's now ruined merchants. The Bosmer laughed again. No active war, just a little border enterprise. You are going on to Falinesti? I'm not. The convoy head shook his head. As far as I'm concerned, my duty is done. No more horses, no more caravan. Just a fat profit loss to me. The men and women crowded around the man, protesting, threatening, begging, but he refused to step foot in Valenwood. If these were the new times of peace, he said he'd rather come back for the next war. Scotty tried a different route and approached the Bosmer. He spoke with an authoritative but friendly voice, the kind he used in negotiations with peevish carpenters. I don't suppose you'd consider escorting me to Falinesti. I'm a representative for an important imperial agency, the Atreus Building Commission, here to help repair and alleviate some of the problems the war with the Khajiit brought to your province. Patriotism, 20 gold pieces, and you must carry your own gear if you have any left, replied the Bosmer. Scotty reflected that negotiations with peevish carpenters rarely went his way either. 6 eager people had enough gold on them for payment. Among those without funds was the poet, who appealed to Scotty for assistance. I'm sorry, Grief. I only have 14 gold left over. Not even enough for a decent room when I get to Falinesti. I really would help you if I could, said Scotty, persuading himself that it was true. How old is this? Because we know that rooms cost 10 gold. Man, Scotty, man, you gotta get over your standards. That's making fun of Scotty being like, I have to have a good room, so I can't help you travel. I really would help, said Scotty, persuading himself that it was true, because it wasn't. The band of 6 and their Bosmer escorts began the descent down a rocky path along the bluff. Within an hour's time, they were deep in the jungles of Valenwood. A never-ending canopy of hues of brown and greens obscured the sky. A millennium's worth of fallen leaves formed a deep, wormy sea of putrefaction beneath their feet. Several miles were crossed wading through the slime. For several more, they took a labyrinthine path across fallen branches and the low-hanging boughs of giant trees. All the while, hour after hour, the inexhaustible Bosmer host moved fast. The Cyrodiil struggled to keep from being left behind. A red-faced little merchant with short legs took a bad step on a rotten branch and nearly fell. His fellow provincials had to help him up. The Bosmer paused only a moment, their eyes continually darting to the shadows in the trees above before moving on at their usual expeditious pace. What are they so nervous about? wheezed the merchant irritably. Morkathe rot? Don't be ridiculous, laughed the Bosmer unconvincingly. Khajiit this far into Valenwood? In times of peace? They'd never dare. When the group passed high enough above the swamp that the smell was somewhat dissipated, Scotty felt a sudden pang of hunger. He was used to 4 meals a day in the Cyrodiilic custom. 4 meals? Hours of non-stop exertion without food was not part of his regimen as a comfortably paid clerk. He pondered, feeling somewhat delirious, how long they had been trotting through the jungle. 12 hours? 20? A week? Time was meaningless. Sunlight was only sporadic through the vegetative ceiling. Phosphorescent molds on the trees and in the muck below provided only the only regular illumination. Is it at all possible for us to rest and eat? He hollered up to his host ahead. We're near Falinesti, came the echoing reply. Lots of food there. The path continued upward for several hours more across a clot of fallen logs, rising up to the first and then the second boughs of the tree line. As they rounded a long corner, the travelers found themselves midway up a waterfall that fell 100 feet or more. No one had the energy to complain as they began pulling up the stacks of rocks, agonizing foot by foot. The Bosmer escorts disappeared into the mist, but Scotty kept climbing until there was no more rock left. He wiped the sweat and river water from his eyes. Falinesti spread across the horizon before him. Sprawling across both banks of the river stood the mighty Grot Oak city, with groves and orchards of lesser trees crowding it like supplicants before their king. At a lesser scale, the tree that formed the moving city would have been extraordinary, gnarled and twisted with a gorgeous crown of gold and green, dripping with vines and shining with sap. At a mile tall and half as wide, it was the most magnificent thing Scotty had ever seen. If he had not been a starving man with the soul of a clerk, he would have sung. "There you are," said the leader of the escorts. "Not too far a walk. You should be glad it's wintertide. In summertide, the city's on the far south end of the province." Scotty was lost as to how to proceed. The side of the vertical metropolis where people moved about like ants disoriented all his sensibilities. You wouldn't know of an inn called... He paused for a moment and then pulled Juris's letter from his pocket. Something like Mother Pascoe's Tavern? Mother Pascoe's? The lead Bosmer laughed his familiar contemptuous laugh. You won't want to stay there. Visitors always prefer the Asia Hall in the top bows. It's expensive, but very nice. I'm meeting someone at Mother Pascoe's Tavern. If you've made up your mind to go, take a lift to Havel Slump and ask for directions there. Just don't get lost and fall asleep in the Western Cross. This apparently struck the youth's friends as a very witty jest, and so it was with their laughter echoing behind him that Scotty crossed the writhing root system to the base of Falinesti. The ground was littered with leaves and refuse, and from moment to moment a glass or a bone would plummet from far above, so he walked with his neck crooked to have warning. An intricate network of platforms anchored to thick vines slipped up and down the slick trunk of the city with perfect grace, manned by operators with arms as thick as an ox's belly. Scotty approached the nearest fellow at one of the platforms, who was idly smoking from a glass pipe. "I was wondering if you might take me to Havel Slump." The mayor nodded, and within a few minutes' time, Scotty was 200 feet in the air at a crook between two mighty branches. Curled webs of moss stretched unevenly across the fork, forming a shared roof for several dozen small buildings. There were only a few souls in the alley, but around the bend ahead he could hear the sound of music and people. Scotty tipped the Falinesti platform ferryman a gold piece and asked for the location of Mother Pascoe's Tavern. "Straight ahead of you, sir, but you won't find anyone there," the ferryman explained, pointing in the direction of the noise. "Mourned us, everyone in Havel Slump has revelry." Scotty walked carefully along the narrow street. Though the ground felt as solid as the marble avenues of the imperial city, there were slick cracks in the bark that exposed fatal drops into the river. He took a moment to sit down, to rest, and get used to the view from the heights. It was a beautiful day for certain, but it took Scotty only a few minutes of contemplation to rise up in alarm. A jolly little raft anchored downstream below him had distinctly moved several inches while he watched it. But it hadn't moved at all. He had, together with everything around him. It was no metaphor. The city of Falinesti walked, and, considering its size, it moved quickly. Scotty rose to his feet and into a cloud of smoke that drifted out from around the bend. It was the most delicious roast he had ever smelled. The clerk forgot his fear and ran. The revelry, as the ferryman had termed it, took place on an enormous platform tied to the tree, wide enough to be a plaza in any other city. A fantastic assortment of the most amazing people Scotty had ever seen were jammed shoulder to shoulder. Together, many eating, many more drinking, and some dancing to a lutist and singer perched on an offshoot above the crowd. They were largely Bosmer, true natives clad in colorful leather and bones, with a close minority of orcs. Whirling through the throng, dancing and bellowing at one another, were a hideous ape people. A few heads bobbing over the tops of the crowd belonged not, as Scotty first assumed, to very tall people, but to a family of centaurs. "Care for some mutton?" queried a wizened old mare who roasted an enormous beast on some red-hot rocks. Scotty quickly paid him a gold piece and devoured the leg he was given, and then another gold piece and another leg. The fellow chuckled when Scotty began choking on a piece of gristle and handed him a mug of frothing white drink. He drank it and felt a quiver run through his body as if he were being tickled. "What is that?" Scotty asked. "Jaga, fermented pig's milk, or is it jaga?" "Jaga, fermented pig's milk. I can let you have a flagon of it and a bit more mutton for another gold." Scotty agreed, paid, gobbled down the meat, and took the flagon with him as he slipped into the crowd. His co-worker, Leodes Juris, the man who had told him to come to Valenwood, was nowhere to be seen. When the flagon was a quarter empty, Scotty stopped looking for Juris. When it was half empty, he was dancing with the group, oblivious to the broken planks and gaps in the fencework. At 3/4 empty, he was trading jokes with a group of creatures whose language was completely alien to him. By the time the flagon was completely drained, he was asleep, snoring, while the revelry continued on all around his supine body. The next morning, still asleep, Scotty had the sensation of someone kissing him. He made a face to return the favor, but a pain like fire spread through his chest and forced him to open his eyes. There was an insect the size of a large calf sitting on him, crushing him, its spiky legs holding him down while a central spiral-bladed vortex of a mouth tore through his shirt. He screamed and thrashed, but the beast was too strong. It had found its meal, and it was going to finish it. You know, for some reason, I love that his first reaction, like he wakes up to someone kissing him, so he's like, I'll just kiss him back. Scotty, don't ever change. All right. It's over, thought Scotty wildly. It's over, thought Scotty wildly. I should have never left home. I could have stayed in the city and perhaps have found work with Lord Vantage. I could have begun again as a junior clerk and worked my way back up. Suddenly, the mouth released itself. The creature shivered once, expelled a burst of yellow bile, and died. Got one, cried a voice not too distantly. For a moment, Scotty lay still. His head throbbed and his chest burned. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw movement. Another of the horrible monsters was scurrying toward him. He scrambled, trying to push himself free, but before he could come out, there was a sound of a bow cracking and an arrow pierced the second insect. Good shot, cried another voice. Get the first one again. I just saw it move a little. This time, Scotty felt the impact of the bolt hit the carcass. He cried out, but he could hear how muffled his voice was by the beetle's body. Cautiously, he tried sliding a foot out and rolling under, but the movement apparently had the effect of convincing the archers that the creature still lived. A volley of arrows was launched forth. Now the beast was sufficiently perforated, so pools of its blood, and likely the blood of its victims, began to seep out onto Scotty's body. When Scotty was a lad, before he grew too sophisticated for such sports, he had often gone to the Imperial arena for the competitions of war. He recalled a great veteran of the fights, when asked, telling him his secret. Whenever I'm in doubt of what to do, and I have a shield, I stay behind it. Oh yay, I'm a possum again! You going to sleep, Shiro? Nighty-night. Exactly, Luffy. Nighty-night. I hope you sleep well. Scotty followed that advice. After an hour, when he no longer heard arrows being fired, he threw aside the remains of the bug and leapt as quickly as he could stand. It was not a moment too soon. A gang of 8 archers had their bows pointing his direction, ready to fire. When they saw him, they laughed. Didn't anyone ever tell you not to sleep in the Western Cross? How are we going to exterminate all the Horvers if you drunks keep feeding them? Scotty shook his head and walked back along the platform, round the bend to Havelslump. He was bloodied and torn and tired, and he had far too much fermented pig's milk. All he wanted was a proper place to lie down. He stepped into Mother Pascost's tavern, a dank place, wet with sap, smelling of mildew. My name is Decimus Scotty, he said. I was hoping you have someone named Juris staying here. Decimus Scotty? Pondered the fleshy proprietress. Blech. Pondered the fleshy proprietress. Mother Pascost herself. I've heard that name. Oh, you must be the fellow he left the note for. Let me see if I can find it. I have read the next one. A Dance in Fire. Volume 2. There we go. Seen a lot of weird dreams. Yeah, dreams are weird. I don't normally like telling them unless they make a good story, like with a good ending, you know? Not just weird. What the hell happened over here? Was it like that when I walked through before? I don't remember. I remember these things being on the floor. I was not paying attention if this stuff was all on the floor. Like, what have you guys been doing here? I mean, I know I just walked into your house and now I'm judging you, but still. Alright. We found a book. And, alright, and there was the cliff racer. I remember things that happened not very long ago. Ilmaril's house. Alright, Ilmaril. Your house has a downstairs. Does it have any books?
Identify yourself.
Okay. Do you know any rumors, Ilmaril? It's not just the blight storms that are bad this year. They got all sorts of blighted beasts coming down from the mountain. It's pretty bad on the trails and in the outback villages. How about a secret? Vampires are not as much of a problem here as back in the west. Here, the Dark Elves burned them out centuries ago, and the temple makes sure they don't come back. What do? I'm an acrobat. That's his trade, being an acrobat. As an entertainer, my job is to amaze and amuse my patrons. But in my more discreet vocation, as a second-story man and connoisseur of treasures and secrets, my job is to come and go without attracting notice and to effectively discourage pursuit when I am noticed. Running, swimming, or leaping, my art is to leave my less agile, less swift pursuit behind. I see. You are a thief. It's a pot in his oven, huh? Alright, what's down here? Does he have any books? He's a thief, but he doesn't steal books. He's not following me, is he? Yeah, they're not smart enough in Morrowind to, like, follow you. I thought he was following me for a second, but it's just his shadow. This one? Yeah. Let's try. Much easier than Oblivion. Until I fail. And have no more lockpicks, I think. Pretty sure that's what that meant. Was that all my lockpicks? No, I got more lockpicks. Hang on. This is what I want. Inventory. It was probably just the wrong type of lockpick because there's different kinds. There we go. Alright. Let's try it again. Oh, wrong thing. This button. I will get in this desk. It's only a lock level of 15. I can do it with my lockpicking skill of like 5. Maybe there's a book in here. Bucha might like the book. Yay! There's a soul gem. I don't remember if red wereballs are ones I'm supposed to get, but I'll grab it just in case. Okay. Even though I'm not supposed to sell that guy stolen stuff. Ah, so much redware stuff. I'm not going to be able to open the level 35 lock, so let's head back out. That cliff racer keeps startling me every time I walk out and I see it. What's this? Book, A Dance in Fire, Chapter 7. Chapter 7. I have 3, and I have 2. I don't have 7. Let's read 7. Let's see what happened later. I learned something. A Dance in Fire, Chapter 7, by Wayne Jarth. Scene: Sylvanar, Valenwood. Date: 13 Sun's Dusk, 3rd Era, 397. The banquet at the palace of the Sylvanar was well attended by every jealous bureaucrat and traitor who had attempted to contact the rebuilding of Valenwood. Try that again. The banquet at the palace of the Sylvanar was well attended by every jealous bureaucrat and traitor who had attempted to contract the rebuilding of Valenwood. They looked on Decimus Scotti, Leodes Juris, and Basth with undisguised hatred. It made Scotti very uncomfortable, but Juris delighted in it. As the servants brought in platter after platter of roasted meats, Juris poured himself a cup of jaga and toasted the clerk. I can confess it now, said Juris. I had grave doubts about inviting you to join me on this adventure. All the other clerks and agents of building commissions I contacted were more outwardly aggressive, but none of them made it through, let alone to the audience chamber of the Sylvanar, let alone brokered the deals on their own like you did. Come, have a cup of jaga with me. No, thank you, said Scotti. I had too much of that drug in Falinesti and nearly got sucked dry by a giant tick because of it. I'll find something else to drink. Scotti wandered about the hall until he saw some diplomats drinking mugs of a steaming brown liquid, poured from a large silver urn. He asked them if it was tea. Tea made from leaves? Scoffed the first diplomat. Not in Valenwood. This is rot meth. Wow. Rot meth. Like, if someone offers you something and says, this is rot meth, like, I'd be like, no and no. Scotty poured himself a mug and took a tentative sip. It was gamey, bitter and sugared, and very salty. At first it seemed very disagreeable to his palate, but a moment later he found he had drained the mug and was pouring another. His body tingled. All the sounds in the chamber seemed oddly disjointed, but not frighteningly so. So you're the fellow who got the Sylvanar to sign all those contracts, said the second diplomat. That must have required some deep negotiation. Not at all, not at all. Just a little basic understanding of mercantile trading, grinned Scotty, pouring himself a third mug of rot meth. The Sylvanar was very eager to involve the Imperial State with the affairs of Valenwood. I was very eager to take a percentage of the commission. With all that blessed eagerness, it was merely a matter of putting Quill to contract, bless you. You have been in the employ of his Imperial Majesty very long? Asked the first diplomat. It's a bite, or rather, a bit more complicated than that in the Imperial City. Between you and me, I don't really have a job. I used to work for Lord Atreus and his building commission, but I got sacked. And then the contracts are from Lord Vaynich and his building commission, because I got him from this fellow Reglius, who is a competitor, but still a very fine fellow, until he was made dead by those Kachidi. Scotty drained his fifth mug. When I go back to the Imperial City, then the real negotiations can begin, bless you. I can go to my old employer, and to Lord Vaynich, and say, look here, you. Which one of you wants these commissions? And they'll fall over each other to take them from me. It will be bidding war for my percentage, the likes of which no one nowhere has never seen. So you're not a representative of His Imperial Majesty the Emperor? Asked the first diplomat. Didn't you hear what I said, you stupid? Scotty felt a surge of rage, which quickly subsided. He chuckled and poured himself a seventh mug. The building commissions are privately owned, but they're still representatives of the Empire. The building commissions are privately owned, but they are still representatives of the Emperor. So I'm a representative of the Emperor. Or I will be, when I get these contracts in. It's very complicated. I can understand why you're not following me. Bless you, it's like the poet said, a dance in fire if you follow the illusion. That is to say, illusion. And your colleagues? Are they representatives of the Emperor? Asked the second diplomat. Scotty burst into laughter, shaking his head. The diplomats bade him their respects and went to talk to the minister. Scotty stumbled out of the palace and reeled through the strange, organic avenues and boulevards of the city. It took him several hours to find his way to Perthala Hall and his room. Once there, he slept, very nearly on his bed. The next morning, he woke to Juris and Bath in his room, shaking him. He felt half asleep and unable to open his eyes fully, but otherwise fine. The conversation with the diplomats floated in his mind in a haze, like an obscure childhood memory. What in Mara's name is rot meth? He asked quickly. Rancid, strongly fermented meat juices with lots of spices to kill the poisons, smiled Bast. I should have warned you to stay with Jaga. You must understand the meat mandate by now, laughed Juris. These Bosmeri would rather eat each other than touch the fruit of the vine or the field. What did I say to those diplomats? Cried Scotty, panicking. Nothing bad, apparently, said Juris, pulling out some papers. Your escorts are downstairs to bring you to the Imperial Province. Here are your papers of safe passage. The Sylvanar seems very impatient about business proceeding forward rapidly. He promises to send you some sort of rare treasure when the contracts are fulfilled. See, he's already given me something. Juris showed off his new bejeweled earring, a beautiful large faceted ruby. Bast showed that he had a similar one. The two fat fellows left the room so Scotty could dress and pack. A full regiment of the Sylvanar's guards was on the street in front of the tavern. They surrounded a carriage crested with the official arms of Valenwood. Still dazed, Scotty climbed in and the captain of the guard gave the signal. They began a quick gallop. Scotty shook himself and then peered behind Bast and Juris. Bast and Juris were waving him goodbye. Wait, Scotty cried, aren't you coming back to the Imperial Province too? The Sylvanar asked that we stay behind as Imperial representatives, yelled Leodes Juris, in case there's a need for more contracts and negotiations. He's appointed us under rape. He's appointed us... What? He's appointed us under rape, some sort of special honor for foreigners. Some sort of special honor for foreigners at court. Don't worry, lots of banquets to attend. You can handle the negotiations with Vaynich and Atreus yourself, and we'll keep things settled here. Juris continued to yell advice about business, but his voice became indistinct with distance. Soon it disappeared altogether as the convoy rounded the streets of Sylvanar. The jungle loomed suddenly, and then they were in it. Scotty had only gone through it by foot or along the rivers by slow-moving boats. Now it flashed all around him in profusions of green. The horses seemed even faster moving through underbrush than on the smooth paths of the city. None of the weird sounds or dank smells of the jungle penetrated the escort. It felt to Scotty as if he were watching a play about the jungle with the background of a quickly moving scrim, which offered only the merest suggestion of the place. So it went for 2 weeks. There was lots of food and water in the carriage with the clerk, so he merely ate and slept as the caravan pressed endlessly on. From time to time, he'd hear the sound of blades clashing, but when he looked around, whatever had attacked the caravan had long since been left behind. At last, they reached the border, where an imperial garrison was stationed. Scotty presented the soldiers who met the carriage with the papers. They asked him a barrage of questions that he answered monosyllabically, and then let him pass. It took several more days to arrive at the gates of the imperial city. The horses that had flown so fast through the jungle now slowed down in the unfamiliar territory of the wooded... The horses that had flown so fast through the jungle now slowed down in the unfamiliar territory of the wooded Colovian estates. By contrast, the cries of his province's birds and smells of his province's plant life brought Decimus Scotty alive. It was as if he had been dreaming all the past months. At the gates of the city, Scotty's carriage door was opened for him, and he stepped out on uncertain legs. Before he had a moment to say something to the escort, they had vanished, galloping back south through the forest. The first thing he did now that he was home was go to the closest tavern and have tea and fruit and bread. If he never ate meat again, he told himself, that would suit him very nicely. Negotiations with Lord Atreus and Lord Vaynich proceeded immediately thereafter. It was most agreeable. Both commissions recognized how lucrative the rebuilding of Valenwood would be for their agency. Lord Vaynich claimed, quite justifiably, that as the contracts had been written on forms notarized by his commission, he had the legal right to them. Lord Atreus claimed that Decimus Scotty was his agent and representative, and that he had never been released from employment. The Emperor was called to arbitrate, but he claimed to be unavailable. His advisor, the imperial battle mage Yegar Tharn, had disappeared long ago and could not be called on for his wisdom and impartial mediation. Scotty lived very comfortably off the bribes from Lord Atreus and Lord Vaynich. Every week, a letter would arrive from Juris or Baths asking about the status of negotiations. Gradually, these letters ceased coming, and more urgent ones came from the Minister of Trade and the Sylvanar himself. The War of the Blue Divide with Somerset Isle ended with the Altmary winning several new coastal islands from the Wood Elves. The war with Elsewhere continued, ravaging the eastern borders of Valenwood. Still, Vaynich and Atreus fought over who would help. One fine morning in the early spring of the year 3rd Era 398, a courier arrived at Decimus Scotty's door. Lord Vaynich has won the Valenwood Commission and requests that you and the contracts come to his hall at your earliest convenience. Has Lord Atreus decided not to challenge further? Asked Scotty. He's been unable to, having died very suddenly, just now, from a terribly unfortunate accident, said the courier. Scotty had wondered how long it would be before the Dark Brotherhood was brought in for final negotiations. As he walked toward Lord Vaynich's building commission, a long, severe piece of architecture on a minor but respectable plaza, he wondered if he had played the game as he ought to have. Could Vaynich be so rapacious as to offer him a lower percentage of the commission now that his chief competitor was dead? Thankfully, he discovered, Lord Vaynich had already decided to pay Scotty what he had proposed during the heat of the winter negotiations. His advisors His advisors had explained to him that other, lesser building commissions might come forward unless the matter were handled quickly and fairly. "Glad we have all the legal issues done with," said Lord Vaynich fondly. "Now we can get to the business of helping the poor Bosmeri and collecting the profits. It's a pity you weren't our representative for all the troubles with Bender Mach and the Arnesian business, but there will be plenty more wars, I'm sure of that." Scotty and Lord Vaynich sent word to the Sylvanar that at last they were prepared to honor the contracts. A few weeks later, they held a banquet in honor of the profitable enterprise. Decimus Scotty was the darling of the Imperial City, and no expense was spared to make it an unforgettable evening. As Scotty met the nobles and wealthy merchants who would be benefiting from his business dealings, an exotic but somehow faintly familiar smell rose in the ballroom. He traced it to its source, a thick roasted slab of meat, so long and thick it covered several platters. The Cyrodiilic revelers were eating it ravenously, unable to find the words to express their delight at its taste and texture. "It's like nothing I've ever had before. It's like pig-fed venison. Do you see the marbling of fat and meat? It's a masterpiece." Scotty went to take a slice, but then he saw something embedded deep in the dried and rendered roast. He nearly collided with his new employer, Lord Vaynich, as he stumbled back. "Where did this come from?" Scotty stammered. "From our client, the Sylvanar," beamed his lordship. It's some kind of local delicacy they call unthrapa." Scotty vomited and didn't stop for some time. It cast rather a temporary pall on the evening, but when Decimus Scotty was carried off to his manor house, the guests continued to dine. The Anthrapa was the delight of all, even more so when Lord Vaynich himself took a slice and found the first of 2 rubies buried within. How very clever of the Bosmer to invent such a dish, the Cyrodiils agreed. Poor Scotty. Alright, Chapter 7 of A Dance in Fire. It's now been 13 and a half hours reading, although, in fairness, a lot of that time has also been spent chatting. Okay, so I'm here. I'm thinking it's actually going to be a good time to take a little break, because I've been going for about 2 hours. So let's just go in the middle of this little, like, townish area here. I don't know why I'm saying townish area. It is a town. And I'll quick save.
I don't think so.
And, oh, I need to change the font on my BRB message, don't I? Still got my Oblivion font. And I'm gonna do... Let's just do a short little break. So I'm setting the clock for 10 minutes, but I'll probably be back closer to 5 to 10 minutes. If you need a break as well, go ahead and take one. Bathroom break, get yourself something to drink, just stretch your legs, whatever you need. I will see you back here in 5 to 10 minutes.
What, Outland?
No, I don't think so.
Identify yourself. Identify yourself.
Whatever you're looking for, I'm sure I don't know how to find it. Make it quick, Orc. Make it quick, Orc. Whatever you're looking for, I'm
quick,
sure I
Orc.
don't know how to find it.
Put on my headphones and people are just talking at me. I did get coffee. No cake though, another damn peasant. Just coffee this time. My dad was in the kitchen cleaning some dishes, and my mom had fried some chicken yesterday, and he was cleaning out the dish that the fried chicken was in, and there's like all the grease and the fat and little bits of chicken. And I see him take this dish, the pan of chicken leftover little bits. I'm like, where's he going? And he walks with it into a closet. And I go in the closet, and his dog, who is his favorite child, is in the closet. Just the dog is in the closet, hiding from the Roomba.
Whatever you're looking for, I'm sure I don't know how to find it.
This dog, by the way, is larger than I am. It weighs more than I do. It's a pretty big dog. It's in the closet hiding from the Roomba, and my dad takes the chicken in there to like make him feel better about the Roomba. Anyway. Things happening in my house. Family shenanigans in the Oopsum household. Yep. Yep. That dog is also just terrified of Cheddar for like no reason. Giant dog, weighs over 100 pounds, and he will just whine and pace back and forth if Cheddar is just sitting in his path. Like, he could go around her. There's plenty of space, but he's like, nope, cat, intimidating. Cheddar is out of the house right now, though. Because my kid left yesterday
Go now.
for a seasonal job in a different state and took their cat with them. Which is good, because the cat would be very sad without my kid. That door is trapped. Why do you have a trapped door in your own house, lady? Don't you want to use your door sometimes? Maybe? Alright, no one see me? No one see me? Okay. Ooh, she got some gold. Wait. I don't need to keep holding that, I think. There we go. I'm a little confused, because I swear sometimes I get caught, even when I have the little thing that says I shouldn't be caught, but I'm not sure how that always works. Alright. Let's take a look at my actual journal and see things I'm supposed to do. Right, the copy of the book. Didn't I ask about the book? I swear I remember asking about the book at the bookstore, but it's not here. Alright, let's look at the quests. Let's look at the quests. The Necromancer. Oh, right, there was the Necromancer one. Alright, I'm gonna go back to the bookstore real quick, just to talk. I already read the books. I remember asking about this book, and I remember they said something, but it's not in my journal. So I'm gonna ask again. You, Cotus Colodus. Tell me about the Chronicles of Uncheleft. Chronicles of Uncheleft? It is a very rare book, but you might find a copy in Vivec. Okay. He sent me to Vivec to find a copy.
Let's get this over with quickly.
That's right, that's right, that's right. Okay. So, looking at the map. Oh yeah, Vivec's quite far away. So I think I'll do the other one. The amulet? Was it the amulet? Oh no, that was a different thing. There. Ship. Amulet. It is a thing. Alright, where is it? Their crew was able to fly to Solstheim. Goals of Uncheleft. I was really focusing on Mages Guild and Fighters Guild. So the Necromancer of Voss, that's what I'm interested in. Perseus Mercius asked me to aid the buoyant armiger Uline Hennem in her expedition to Voss, which is on a remote island west of Dagenfell. Uline Hennem. While she is a buoyant armiger and a worthy warrior, I hear she is young, inexperienced, ambitious, and noble. Be careful with this one. Okay, but where is she? On her expedition to Voss. Where do I find Uline Hennem? I'm sure Perseus Mercius told me. But I probably have to go back and ask, because I forgot, and it's not written there. I think I've been there. Yeah, I've been to the pawnbroker. I haven't been in here yet. In the Manor District. Ooh. Interesting. Interesting view. So...
This better be important.
Alright, these are just different manors. And there's nothing down below. Alright, I'm gonna start with, well, I'm just gonna go up top, I think. I'm gonna go up here, and I'm gonna start at like 1 o'clock or midnight. No, I'm not. I'm gonna start here, because I can't go all the way around. Venom Manor entrance. Alright, this is Venom Manor. Maybe someone in Venom Manor wants to hire an orc. Hi, do you want to hire an orc?
Talk too much.
Do you know any rumors? Madness is a sickness in the soul. It comes from a lack of faith and a love of sin. All this talk of bad dreams and bad omens, superstition. It's just a sign that people have abandoned the temple and fallen into greed and wickedness. Alright. Oh, those are candles. You have these cool blue candles. I like your candles, dude.
Spit it out or hit the road.
Tell me about yourself, Velsa or Rethi. I'm what they call a crusader. Crusaders used to be warriors in service to a cult, but now any heavily armored warrior with a good cause calls himself a crusader. My good cause is hunting down necromancers and witches and bandits and other malefactors, and I do well by doing good. Salvage on arms, armor, and goods taken from malefactors, earns me a good living. I'm tough and strong, so I wear heavy armor and use blunt weapons, and I won't fight with worn weapons or worn armor, so I'm my own armorer. Okay. Does that mean I'm a champion? Am I a champion? Because I have a cause. My cause is to get back to my sister. I have a cause. With that outfit, Bashla Gronker, you must be doing well for yourself. Can I help you? Can you believe I'm even... Oh, I'm a possum again. Hey, thanks, Mute. Even on YouTube, people are complimenting my skirt. It's not just the NPCs. You got rumors. Erver fervor? No. Erver fever. Someone's been selling strange red statues in Ald'ruhn. Alright, goodbye. I think I'm gonna go back out. I don't feel like fully exploring the house manors right now. I wanna do more Fighters Guild. So I gotta find where she is that I'm supposed to help her, and I don't remember her name. Do you think I'll die if I fall down here? It's weird what's on the other side of this wall. Let's try. Oh! Well, I didn't die. It did smack me. All the houses with the sad faces. Okay. So I need the Fighters Guild. That's what I need. I go back to the Fighters Guild. I can ask about the person I'm supposed to help. It's not this way. I should look at a map. Find the Fighters Guild. Over here? Yeah. I can tell where it is on a map. Alright, so just turn around and go that way and just kind of head south. Doot. Oh, I hear the Silt Strider. The call of the giant beetle. Okay, let's go get a reminder about my quest. And what I'm supposed to be doing with my quest. No, I've read that. Baradras. You must be doing well for yourself, Baradras says. Baradras, do you know any secrets? You like to poke your nose into doors out in the backcountry? A little suggestion. Those places that look like they're made of a golden metal, with spires and towers, those are dwarven ruins. They're kinda dangerous, partly because of the old dwarven machines in them, and partly because of the kinds of things that like to hide out in such old ruins. All the old ruins inside the ghost fence, for example, are ancient dwarven ruins, and I hear that vampires like them too. Do you have a bit of Morrowind lore for me? There's always trouble in Morrowind between Outlanders, non-Dunmer Imperial colonists, and the Dunmer natives. Yeah, I'd expect that. Okay. Was it you? Yeah, you're Perseus Mercius. I want to ask about Uline Hennem. While a buoyant armature and a worthy warrior, I hear she is young, inexperienced, and noble. But where is she? He's not telling me where she is. Maybe she's somewhere in the... She wasn't in the Fighters Guild. Like, I had to go somewhere to meet her. He gave me all these directions. Maybe if I talk to him again, he'll give me more directions. Like, maybe it's a dialogue choice. Directions. Greetings, Perseus Mercius. I'm in the Fighters Guild. Now, can you tell me about Voss? Go to Voss, meet with the buoyant... Oh, she's in Voss! And help her clear the necromancers out of Voss. Voss is to the north. Here, I'll mark it on your map. Okay. I thought I had to meet with her somewhere outside of Voss, and then we went to Voss together. I misunderstood. Alright, I will go to Voss. He marked it on my map.
I'm listening.
So let's see. World map. Should have Voss on it somewhere. It was to the north? He definitely said where it was. It's far to the north. Oh, I wasn't looking far north enough. Oh no. I have to go far to the north. Far to the north. Okay. Okay. Should I walk? I wonder what the best way is to get that far north. Or I can go to Vivec. They're about the same distance apart, actually. So either one is good. I've been to Vivec, but only a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over here to the Mages Guild. Oh, didn't you want help with something?
What's this then?
You returned. What news? Oh, nothing yet. I'm working on it. Okay. Yeah, tell me. Let me look at his airship thingy. Maybe I want to do that first. That's in Solstheim. No. Where is Solstheim? That's this up here, right? Like this was Solstheim. It's an island off. I think some of this is added in the mod. So I'm not entirely sure what's vanilla because I haven't played vanilla, but I think this is Solstheim. I'm pretty sure that's the shape of Solstheim when I've seen it on maps where it's labeled. Everything's far away apparently. Okay. I'm just gonna go in here and we're gonna see where they can teleport me to.
Training?
Training? Ahem. We have some spells. Detect creature? That's mysticism. I'm kind of trying to keep her just to the alteration. Slow fall might be good. I'm seeing all these spells that look like they could be extremely used. Alright, gonna buy slow fall. Now, can I remember to use slow fall while I'm falling and I need it? That's a different thing, but that's just a different thing. It's good to have on hand, though. If I remember and don't have it on hand, it does me no good at all. Right? It's trapped. Alright, I'm looking for the person who does the traveling. Person who does traveling. It's probably not you. Oh, there's books here. There's books here. 2920 Sun's Dawn. I feel like I may have... Let's see. Let's see if I've read that. I have not read 2920 Sun's Dawn. Oh, look, we gotta read another book. Definitely haven't read it. Sun's Dawn. Book 2 of 2920. The Last Year of the First Era by Karlovac Townway. 3 Sun's Dawn, 2920. The Isle of Artaeum, Somerset. Sothasil watched the initiates float one by one up to the osum tree, taking a fruit or a flower from its high branches before dropping back to the ground with varying degrees of grace. He took a moment while nodding his head in approval to admire the day. The whitewashed statue of Ciribane, which the greatest mage was said to have posed for in ancient days, stood at the precipice of the cliff overlooking the bay. Pale purple proscato flowers waved to and fro in the gentle breeze. Beyond, ocean and the misty border between Artaeum and the main island of Somerset. By and large acceptable, he proclaimed as the last student dropped her fruit in his hand. With a wave of his hand, the fruit and the flowers were back in the tree. With another wave, the students had formed into position in a semicircle around the sorcerer. He pulled a small, fibrous ball about a foot in diameter from his white robes. What is this? The students understood the test. It asked them to cast a spell of identification on the mysterious object. Each initiate closed his or her eyes and imagined the ball in the realm of the universal truth. Its energy had a unique resonance as all physical and spiritual matter does. A negative aspect, a duplicate version, relative paths, true meaning, a song in the cosmos, a texture in the fabric of space, a facet of being that has always existed and always will exist. A ball, said a young Nord named Wellig, which brought giggles from some of the younger initiates, but a frown from most, including Sothasil. If you must be stupid, at least be amusing, growled the sorcerer, and then looked at a young dark-haired Altmer lass who looked confused. Lillatha, do you know? It's Grom, said Lillatha uncertainly. What the Dreg Meth after they've Carvanism, but very good nonetheless, said Sothasil. Now tell me, what does that mean? I don't know, admitted Lillatha. The rest of the students also shook their heads. There are layers to understanding all things, said Sothasil. The common man looks at an object and fits it into a place in his way of thinking. Those skilled in the old ways, in the way of the Psijic, in mysticism, can see an object and identify it by its proper role. But one more layer is needed to be peeled back to achieve understanding. You must identify the object by its role and its truth and interpret that meaning. In this case, this ball is indeed Grom, which is a substance created by the Dreg, an underwater race in the north and western parts of the continent. For 1 year of their life, they undergo Carvanism. Yeah, I did say that right. For 1 year of their life, they undergo Carvanism when they walk upon the land. Following that, they return to the water and meth, or devour the skin and organs they needed for land dwelling. Then they vomit it up into little balls like this. Grom. Dreg vomit. The students looked at the ball a little queasily. Sothasil always loved this lesson. 4 Suns Dawn, 2920. The Imperial City, Cyrodiil. Spies, muttered the Emperor, sitting in his bath, staring at a lump on his foot. All around me, traitors and spies. His mistress Ridja washed his back, her legs wrapped around his waist. She knew, after all these many years, when to be sensual and when to be sexual. When he was in a mood like this, it was best to be calmly, soothingly, seductively sensual, and not to say a word unless he asked her a direct question, which he did. What do you think when a fellow steps on his Imperial Majesty's foot and says, "I'm sorry, Your Imperial Majesty"? Don't you think, "Pardon me, Your Imperial Majesty" is more appropriate? I'm sorry. Well, that almost sounds like that bastard Argonian was sorry I am His Imperial Majesty, that he hopes we lose the war with Morrowind. That's what it sounds like. What would make you feel better? Asked Ridja. Would you like him flogged? He is only, as you say, the battle chief of Soul Rest. It would teach him a lesson to mind where he's stepping. My father would have flogged him. My grandfather would have killed him. My father would have flogged him. My grandfather would have had him killed, the Emperor grumbled. But I don't mind if they all step on my feet, provided they respect me and don't plot against me. You must trust someone. Only you, smiled the Emperor, turning slightly to give Ridja a kiss. And my son Juliek, I suppose, though I wish he were a little more cautious. And your council and the potentate? Asked Ridja. A pack of spies and a snake, laughed the Emperor, kissing his mistress again. As they began to make love, he whispered, As long as you're true, I can handle the world. 13 Suns Dawn, 2920, Mournhold, Morrowind. Talara stood at the black, bejeweled city gates. A wind howled around her, but she felt nothing. The Duke had been furious upon hearing his favorite mistress was pregnant and cast her from his sight. She tried again and again to see him, but his guards turned her away. Finally, she returned to her family and told them the truth. If only she had lied and told them she did not know who the father was. A soldier, a wandering adventurer, anyone. But she told them that the father was the Duke, a member of the House Induril. And they did what she knew they would have to do, as proud members of the House Redoran. Upon her hand was burned the sign of expulsion her weeping father had branded on her. But the Duke's cruelty hurt her far more. She looked out the gate and into the wide winter plains, twisted, sleeping trees and skies without birds. No one in Morrowind would take her in now. She must go far away. With slow, sad steps, she began her journey. 16 Suns Dawn, 2920, Central Anequina, modern-day Elsewhere. What troubles you? Asked Queen Hassama, noticing her husband's sour mood. At the end of most lovers' days, he was in an excellent mood, dancing in the ballroom with all the guests, but tonight he retired early. When she found him, he was curled in the bed, frowning. That blasted bard's tale about Polydor and Eloisa put me in a rotten state, he growled. Why did he have to be so depressing? But isn't that the truth of the tale, my dear? Weren't they doomed because of the cruel nature of the world? It doesn't matter what the truth is. He did a rotten job of telling the rotten tale, and I'm not going to let him do it any more. King Drozel sprang from the bed. His eyes were rheumy with tears. Where did they say he was from again? I believe Gilverdale in easternmost Valenwood, said the queen, shaken. My husband, what are you going to do? Drozel was out of the room in a single spring, bounding up the stairs to his tower. If Queen Hassama knew what her husband was going to do, she did not try to stop him. He had been erratic of late, prone to fits and even occasional seizures, but she never suspected the depths of his madness and his loathing for the bard and his tale of the wickedness and perversity found in mortal man. 19 Suns Dawn, 2920, Gilverdale, Valenwood. "Listen to me again," said the old carpenter. "If cell 3 holds worthless brass, then cell 2 holds the gold key. If cell 1 holds the gold key, then cell 3 holds worthless brass. If cell 2 holds worthless brass, then cell 1 holds the gold key." "I understand," said the lady. "You told me. And so, cell 1 holds the gold key, right?" "No," said the carpenter. "Let me start from the top." "Mama," said the little boy, pulling on his mother's sleeve. "Just one moment, dear. Mother's talking," she said, concentrating on the riddle. "You said cell 3 holds the golden key if cell 2 holds worthless brass, right?" "No," said the carpenter patiently. "Cell 3 holds worthless brass if cell 2... "Mama!" cried the boy. His mother finally looked. A bright red mist was pouring over the town in a wave, engulfing building after building in its wake. Striding before was a red-skinned giant, the Daedra Molag Bal. He was smiling. 2920 Suns Dawn. 29 Suns Dawn, 2920. Gilverdale, Valenwood. Almalexia stopped her steed in the vast moor of mud to let him drink from the river. He refused to, even seemed repelled by the water. It struck her as odd. They had been making excellent time from Mournhold, and surely he must be thirsty. She dismounted and joined her retinue. "Where are we now?" she asked. One of her ladies pulled out a map. "I thought we were approaching a town called Gilverdale." Almalexia closed her eyes and opened them again quickly. The vision was too much to bear. As her followers watched, she picked up a piece of brick and a fragment of bone and clutched them to her heart. "We must continue on to Artaeum," she said quietly. "The year continues in first seed." 29, 20, Suns Dawn. I think that's 2. Oh, I'm a possum again! Thank you for the redeemed kitty fly! That was a good one. I enjoyed that. I like the 2920 book.
Finest potion are right here.
I think Karlovac Townway is probably my second favorite author.
Talk too much, Outlander.
After Wayne Jarth. I've read these. Okay.
Make it quick. Orc.
Right. I'm looking for the person who can teleport me. I had, like, an actual reason to be here. It's not you. Yay, over 11 hours of reading. In fairness, a lot of that counts the time spent chatting just while a book is open. But, yeah. We're gonna ignore that.
Yes, Outlander.
You're not a teleporter, right? You wouldn't be in a bedroom if you were the teleport person. You would be standing in the teleport spot. I just can't remember where it is. Or do I know in the first place? I may not have known in the first place. There's a big eye there. So I'm gonna go towards the eye. Yeah, I didn't. That was correct. Going towards the eye was correct. Alright, can you teleport me to Voss? She doesn't have any rumors. Alright, travel to Balmora. No, but she can take me to Vivec, which I also have something to do in Vivec, so that's fine. Hi, Flacacia Faucius and Omonier. I think I just said that in probably the most American way possible. Omonier.
Yes.
Oh, Kratia Julialian. Yeah. Julialian. That's right. Yeah, I said it right. That's your name. The Firsthold Revolt. Ooh, have I read this one? Revolt. No, I've not. We have another book. This isn't the book I'm supposed to find here in this town, but it's the one I found now. I gain knowledge. I'm gonna drink a little coffee before I start reading real quick. Alright. The Firsthold Revolt by Mavius C.A. You told me that if her brother won, she would be sister to the King of Wayrest, and Raymond would want to keep her for the Alliance. But her brother Helseth lost and has fled with his mother back to Morrowind, and still Raymond has not left her to marry me. Lady Guilleen took a long, slow drag of the hookah and blew out dragon's breath, so the scent of blossoms perfumed her gilded chamber. You make a very poor advisor, Kael. I might have spent my time romancing the King of Cloudwest and Alinor instead of the wretched royal husband of Queen Morgaya. Speaking of, we are. I need to get on making my phonology lecture. I love phonology. I think I'm suffering from like wanting it to be too good because I like phonology so much. And I should just relax and let it be the chaos it's going to end up being anyway. But you're right. I need to do that and re-enable that reward. For sure. Kael knew better than to hurt his lady's vanity by the mere suggestion that the King of Firsthold might have come to love his Dunmer queen. Instead, he gave her a few minutes to pause and look from her balcony out over the high cliff palaces of the ancient capital. The moons shone like crystal on the deep sapphire waters of the Abyssinian Sea. It was ever springtide here, and he could well understand why she would prefer a throne in this land than in Cloudrest or Alinor. Finally, he spoke. The people are with you, my lady. They do not relish the idea of Raymond's dark elf heirs ruling the kingdom when he is gone. I wonder, she said calmly, I wonder if, as the king would not give up his queen for want of alliances, whether she would give herself up out of fear. Of all the people of Firsthold, who most dislikes the Dunmer influence on the court? Is this a trick question, my lady? Asked Kael. The Trebite monks, of course. Their credo has ever been for pure Altmer bloodlines on Somerset, and among the royal families most of all. But, my lady, they make very weak allies. I know, said Guilleen, taking up her hookah again thoughtfully, a smile creeping across her face. Morgaya has seen to it that they have no power. She would have exterminated them altogether had Raymond not stopped her for all the good they do for the country folk. What if they found themselves with a very powerful benefactress, one with intimate knowledge of the court of Firsthold? One with intimate knowledge of the court of Firsthold, the chief concubine of the king, and all the gold to buy the weapons with that her father. And all the gold to buy weapons that her father, the King of Skywatch, could supply. Well armed and with the support of the country people, they would be formidable, nodded Kael. But as your advisor, I must warn you, if you make yourself an active foe of Queen Morgaya, you must play to win. She has inherited much of her mother Queen Baranzaya's intelligence and spirit of vengeance. She will not know I am her foe until it is too late, shrugged Guilleen. Go to the Trebite monastery and bring me Friar Lelam. We must strategize our plan of attack. For 2 weeks, Raymond was advised about growing resentment in the countryside from peasants who called Morgaya. I can keep recording. Okay. I need the recording. It's very important. And I don't remember when I got that little notification, so I'm going to go back to here. She will not know I am her foe until it is too late, shrugged Guilleen. Go to the Trebite monastery and bring me Friar Lelam. We must strategize our plan of attack. For 2 weeks, Raymond was advised about growing resentment in the countryside from peasants who called Morgaya the Black Queen, but it was nothing that he had not heard before. His attention was on the pirates on a small island off the coast called Callias Lar. They had been more brazen as late, attacking royal barges and organized raids. To deliver a crushing blow, he ordered the greatest part of his militia to invade the island, an incursion he himself would lead. A few days after Raymond left the capital, the revolt of the Trebite monks exploded. The attacks were well coordinated and without warning. The chief of the guards did not wait to be announced bursting into Morgaya's bedchamber ahead of a flurry of maidservants. My queen, he said, it is a revolution. By contrast, Guilleen was not asleep when Kael came to deliver the news. She was seated by the window, smoking her hookah and looking at the fires far off in the hills. Morgaya is with council, he explained. I am certain they are telling her that the Trebite monks are behind the uprising and that the revolution will be at the city gates by morning. How large is the revolutionary army in contrast to the remaining royal militia? Asked Guilleen. The odds are well in our favor, said Kael, though not perhaps as much as we hoped. The country folk, it seems, like to complain about their queen, but stop short of insurrection. Primarily, the army is composed of the monks themselves and a horde of mercenaries your father's gold bought. In a way of thinking, it is preferable this way. They are more professional and organized than a common mob. Really, they are a true army, complete with a horn section. If that doesn't frighten the Black Queen into abdication, nothing will, smiled Guilleen, rising from her chair. The poor dear must be beside herself with worry. I must fly to her side and enjoy it. Guilleen was disappointed when she saw Morgaya come out of the council chambers. Considering that she had been woken from a deep sleep with cries of revolution and had spent the last several hours in consultation with her meager general force, she looked beautiful. There was a sparkle of proud defiance in her bright eyes. "Oh, I'm a possum again, yay! Thank you, Kitty Fly, and welcome in. Glad you're here." My queen, Guilleen... My queen, Guilleen cried, forcing real tears. "I came as soon as I heard. Will we all be slaughtered?" "A distinct possibility," replied Morgaya simply. Guilleen tried to read her, but the expressions of women, especially alien women, were a far greater challenge than those of Altmer men. "I hate myself for even thinking to propose this," said Guilleen, "but since the cause of their fury is you, perhaps if you were to give up the throne, they might disperse. Please understand, my queen, I am thinking only of the good of the kingdom and our own lives." "I understand the spirit of your suggestion," smiled Morgaya, "and I will take it under advisement. Believe me, I have thought of it myself, but I don't think it will come to that." "Have you a plan for defending us?" asked Guilleen, contorting her features to an expression she knew bespoke girlish hope. "The king left us several dozen of his royal battle mages," said Morgaya. "I think the mob believes we have nothing but palace guards and a few soldiers to protect us. When they get to the gates and are greeted with a wave of fireballs, I find it highly likely they will lose heart and retreat." But isn't there some protection they could be using against such an assault?" asked Guilleen in her best worried voice. "If they knew about it, naturally there is, but an unruly mob is unlikely to have mages skilled in the arts of restoration, by which they could shield themselves from the spells, or mysticism, by which they could reflect the spells back on my battle mages. That would be the worst scenario, but even if they were well organized enough to have mystics in their ranks, and enough of them to reflect so many spells, it just isn't done. No battlefield commander would advise such a defense during a siege unless he knew precisely what he was going to be meeting. And then, of course, once the trap is sprung," Morgaya winked, "it's too late for a countering spell." "A most stunning solution, your highness," said Guilleen, honestly impressed. Morgaya excused herself to meet with her battle mages, and Guilleen gave her an embrace. Kael was waiting in the palace garden for his lady. "Are there mystics among the mercenaries?" she asked quickly. "Several, in fact," replied Kael, bewildered by her query. "Largely rejects from the Psijic order, but they know enough to cast the regular spells of the school." "You must sneak out the city gates and tell Friar Leland to have them cast reflection spells on all the front line before they attack," said Guilleen. "That's most irregular battlefield strategy," frowned Kael. "I know it is, fool. That's what Morgaya is counting on. There's a gang of battle mages who are going to be waiting on the battlements to greet our army with a barrage of fireballs." "Battle mages? I would have thought that King Raymond would have brought them with him to fight the pirates." "You would have thought that," laughed Guilleen, "but then we would be defeated. Now go." Friar Leland agreed with Kael that it was a bizarre, unheard-of way to begin a battle, casting reflection spells on all one's troops. It went against every tradition, and as a Trebite monk, he valued tradition above every other virtue. There was little other choice, though, given the intelligence. He had few enough healers in the army, as it were, and their energies could not be wasted casting resistance spells. At dawn's light, the rebel army was in sight of the gleaming spires of Firsthold. Friar Leland gathered together every soldier who knew even the rudimentary secrets of mysticism, who knew how to tap into the elementary conundrums and knots of the energies of magicka. Though few were masters of the art, their combined force was powerful to behold. A great surge of entangling power washed over the army, crackling, hissing, and infusing all their ghostly force. When they arrived at the gates, every soldier, even the least imaginative, knew that no spell would touch him for a long time. Friar Leland watched his army batter into the gate with the great satisfaction of a commander who has counteracted an unthinkable attack with an outrageous defense. The smile quickly faded from his face. They were met at the battlements not by mages, but by common archers of the palace guard. As the flaming arrows fell upon the siegers like a red rain, the healers ran in to help the wounded. Their healing spells reflected off the dying men, one after the other. Chaos ruled as the attackers suddenly found themselves defenseless and began a panicked, unorganized retreat. Friar Leland himself considered briefly holding his ground before fleeing. Later, he would send furious notes to Lady Guilleen and Kael, but they were returned. Even his best secret agents within the palace were unable to find their whereabouts. Neither had, as it turns out, much previous experience with torture, and they soon confessed their treachery to the king's satisfaction. Kael was executed, and Guilleen was sent back with escort to her father's court of Skywatch. He has still to find a husband for her. Remen, by contrast, has elected not to take a new royal concubine. The common folk of Firsthold consider this break in palace protocol to be more of the sinister alien influence of the Black Queen, and will grumble to all who will listen. Rookie mistake? Yeah. Right? I couldn't believe she fell for that. I really couldn't. What was the name of this one? The Firsthold Revolt. The Firsthold Revolt. Alright. Little shifty. Okay, I'm looking for the exit so I can find this book.
How interesting.
It's my goal.
A tourist.
A tourist. How interesting. A tourist. Do you have any rumors for the tourist? The Dark Brotherhood is ready to make their move on the Morag Toll. I hear the Night Mother herself has come to Vardenfell. There we go. I changed her accent like partway through somehow. Oh, do you have duties? You could speak with Archmage Trebonius, but between you and me, you might want to ask the guild stewards in Ald'ruhn, Balmora, or Sadrith Mora instead. Oh right, I'm not in Ald'ruhn anymore. She sells spells. Demoralized creature. Ooh, detect key. That's mysticism. I might do it anyway. Chameleon is illusion, huh? Oh, that would be nice. But I went with alteration for the levitation. Come on, Nat, you liked the accent? I'm so bad at accents. Like, you would think being a linguist it would be better, but I'm not. I could do my own, and I could do my own in Spanish. But if I like try to do an accent, it ends up being all sorts of like what's the word I'm looking for? It's not consistent. Inconsistent. I maze. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna get detect key, even though it's mysticism and not alteration, because I'm guessing that will help me find keys to free the slaves. That's why. There's a reason for it. To free the slaves. Empty vials. Chests. Bottles. Cyrillanwi's chest. Alright, let's close her door. Let her have her privacy. Oh, this is where I just was. I know where I was. I can find my way around. I don't get lost in buildings with 2 rooms. And this building has significantly more than that. This is where people eat, but no one is eating here right now. This is where I came in. This is down into the main part of the Mage's Guild. And there's just like beds out in the open. I wouldn't want to sleep there. Hey, Eberk! You just got home from the music festival. How was it? I'm not lost. I'm exploring. Yes, yes. But when you're exploring, don't you have to, like, remember where you've gone? Detect key only displays keys on the map. I might have wasted my money on detect key. We'll find out, I guess. It was great and extremely brutal. Ah, maybe this guy knows about the Chronicles of Untitled. Try Joe Basha's rare books in the Foreign Quarter Wasteworks. Foreign Quarter Wasteworks. He's not calling me Wasteworks. I thought for a second he was using that as like an epithet. No, it's the Wasteworks. Okay, tell me about Joe Basha's rare books. It's in the Foreign Quarter. Well, great. Do you know any rumors? What could kill 2 ordinators before they can draw their weapons? Slit their throats? Happened right here in Vivec. got to be a sorcerer or vampire. The Office of the Watch in the Hall of Justice is worried about sending their own ordinators out after this killer. The rumor is that the Office of the Watch is looking for outside help. You're an Outlander. Did you know 5 other Outlanders were killed just the same way? What? That doesn't sound good. If you forget where you are and where you've been, you're always exploring. True. I am always exploring then. I'm gonna have a little coffee. One sec. Little drink. Kittyfly! You say Jobasha has the best books? Oh, great. Great to know. So, Eberk, what sort of music festival was it? Other than German.
Yes.
Like, what type of music did they play? Trebonius Artorius. That's a cool name. It's no Precious Messius or whatever that guy's name is. But... duties, you say? Yes, there are several things the Mages Guild needs done. Let's see. Find out about the disappearance of the dwarves. Yes, that's an excellent task for you, apprentice. Metal stuff? Nice. Yeah, then you want it to be brutal. The disappearance of the dwarves? It's a simple task, surely. Just go to some ruins and, find out what happened to them. Maybe some people here in the Mages Guild can give you some clues. This is funny, right? Just find out what happened to the dwarves. You want a duty? Solve this unsolved mystery that no one has solved for hundreds of years. Okay, thank you for the job. And it added it! It put it in my... He asked me to find out what happened to the dwarves. Unfortunately, he didn't give me much information to go on. I'm not sure if he was serious. I don't know, let's go to some ruins. Alright, I feel like Jobashi was a much more solid lead. Jobashi's books. That's the kind of task you give to someone when you just want to be rid of them. Yes, exactly. I don't know. Find out what happened to the dwarves. You can complete the quest, but it's not at all straightforward.
Alright, I'm listening.
Well, maybe I will. That's the Mages Guild Charter. We'll see. Malvin Ramori. Oh, you got some stuff. You can train me in things. Does she have... rumor. A sailor from Soul Rest said he heard the expeditionary forces put down the tribal uprisings in Black Marsh. He says local traders expect exports of gold and timber to resume after the plantations and mines are rebuilt. You have a secret? You want my advice? I've been around. Oh, I've read this before. Okay. Tell me about the High Fane. The High Fane is the largest tribunal temple in Vardenfell. Archcanon Sarioni presides over the temple, along with a large staff of priests, healers, and monks. Pilgrims travel from all over Morrowind to view the High Fane and the Ministry of Truth, and to offer prayer and thanks before the Palace of Vivec. Alright, how do I get to the Foreign Quarter? The Foreign Quarter is the large, 3-tiered canton to the north. Originally, foreigners were not allowed to enter Vivec any further than the Foreign Quarter, but now Outlanders can travel throughout Vivec at will. The Imperial guilds each have guild halls and complete services here, and an Imperial cult shrine serves the spiritual needs of the Imperial faithful. I think this same thing was written in a book, and I've read it. Seems very familiar. So let's go out to the Foreign Quarter. This is the Foreign Quarter. I'm inside a thing in Vivec.
No, I don't think so.
A canton. That's it. That's what they're called. They're called cantons.
Let's not make this official, Outlander.
Talk with you.
Move along.
Something tells me I might regret it.
Well, then why'd you stop and talk at me?
There's something not right about it.
Oh, let's talk to you. You talk to you. I'm looking for Jobash's rare books. It's here in the Foreign Quarter on the west end of the Lower Wasteworks. Okay, west end of the Lower Wasteworks is good. Well, this way's west. I'll look around more. Thank you.
There's something not right about you. Maybe you should go.
This is the Fighters Guild. And this goes out to the Foreign Quarter. Oh, this is outside. Upper Wasteworks. But she said lower wasteworks, right? What is this, like a phone booth? Not a phone booth, just a pillar. Upper wasteworks. No, I need lower wasteworks. Pretty sure. Pretty sure she said lower. That also says upper. maybe there is no lower. That also says upper. Alright, this is the last side to check. Oh wait, I think this might be, no. Upper. Okay. Well, I'll go in the upper then. Maybe there's a way to the lower from the upper? It does. I just called myself it. It does come near. I'm just looking around.
And you won't get hurt.
Just kind of seeing what doors and books might be around. Well, I'm gonna look at the map. Maybe that's what I should do. Oh, there are doors to the lower wasteworks. Down this way. Okay. There we go. There we go. Oh, thank you for the snack, Azu. Yum yum banana. Munch munch munch.
Do you want something?
I think it was a banana. Hello, Sarah Nothralin. I hope you enjoyed that. A little possum eating. One moment. I'm gonna drink a little more coffee. It makes you want a possum, right? They are very cute. There are apparently lots of videos online from people who have opossums. And according to those people, they're very friendly, but I don't know if they actually make good pets or not. I have learned a lot recently about possums. Like, they can give birth 3 times a year. And have litters of up to 20. And they give birth to them because they're marsupials. They're the only marsupial in North America. And they give birth to like up to 20 tiny little opossums after just less than 2 weeks of pregnancy. And then the tiny little possum babies have to crawl up the mommy's belly into the little pouch because they're not done developing because they're marsupials. And so they can give birth to up to 20, but they only have up to 13 nipples for nursing because when they're inside the pouch, they find a nipple and they like latch on, and basically, from my understanding, they're just kind of latched on there for the next little while and basically eating. And they only have up to 13. So it's only the first, 13 babies that make it to the pouch that can even survive. They're just having extra kids. Anyway, I've been learning interesting things. The more you know. That feels kind of sad. A little bit. But also, I learned the evolution of them. Not really broad strokes of marsupials in the Americas and such. Because you think of marsupials, and at least here in America, if you think of marsupials, you tend to think of Australia. Maybe just because they got kangaroos. But that's kind of just what you think of. You think marsupials, Australia. But apparently they started in North America. And then they traveled down to South America. And from South America, and this is just like marsupials in general, evolutionarily speaking, and from South America, they went to Australia. But they also, one of them, so they traveled from North America to South America and left North America. There were no more marsupials in North America. But then the possum, came back up. And so that's why we only have one possum. One marsupial. And it's the possum. 1 second. Alright, sorry about that. My mom had a question for me. Oh, okay. My mom was standing there waiting for me to get done talking about the evolutionary history of possums. I did a lot of research. I watched a couple YouTube videos that were recommended to me after looking up a bunch of videos of possums eating. That's what I did. Alright, the clothier Agrippina Herenia has been in a real mood lately. Hardly wants to interact with her customers. She needs to take a break, I say. No, that is a rumor. It's just not... Oh no, It's different. When I heard that Balin and Toronto over in the Redoran section had a rough time lately, losing a lot of business. Lauren and Mom's Skyrim stream when? Oh, that would be funny to get my mom on that. She was worried. I had her play Road to Empress Part 1. I thought she would enjoy it. Because she, like me, enjoys the Korean dramas. So we often are talking about that. And it's like, it's not a Korean drama, it's like a Chinese drama, but they're kind of close, sort of, in mood, you know, and you got the pretty outfits. Which is what I love. I love historical shows with pretty outfits. I don't care where they're at. Anyway, I thought she would enjoy it. And my mom was so worried. A video game? What? Are you sure? I don't know if I can do it because she's worried about her hand-eye coordination. I'm like, it's Road to Empress, if you guys don't know. It's just a visual novel told, but it's all live action filmed. So it's a little bit like you're directing a C-drama. It's very fun. She enjoyed it a lot too and played it a lot longer than I thought she would. But I don't know if she would feel very comfortable doing Skyrim. I think she might be a little worried about the hand-eye coordination required for that. You never heard of it, but it looks interesting. It is fun. It's a bunch of fun, and I don't think it costs very much. Which is good, because you can play it like once. But, you know, it's like a show. It's like a show that you play. I'm gonna drink a little more, and then I'm gonna keep hunting for this bookstore, I think. Alright. I actually started part 2 of Road to Empress just the other day. And I thought about streaming it, but I was like, nah. It would mostly just be like watching TV.
No, I don't think so.
Savini Sarian. Barter. What does she have? Guide to Balmora, Guide to Vivec, Guide to Vardenfell. I don't think I have the Guide to Vardenfell, do I? No, but do I want to buy it? How much is she going to charge me for it? 4? I read that one, and I've read that one. Okay, but I gotta sell you some things. Oh, I have a good. No, that's the one I'm selling her. Here. Fighter's Guild Charter, Great Houses of Morrowind, take these guides. This book. This book. This book. This book. This book. And this book. Yeah, VN games don't translate well into stream, probably. Yeah. It'd be like we're all just watching stuff together. And Chinese. We're probably speaking Mandarin. But it goes so fast. I'm not a slow reader. Like, if I'm not reading aloud. I'm not really a very slow reader. I can read pretty fast, but with Chinese, I often have to go back and replay because I didn't have enough time to read the subtitles before they move on to the next thing, because Chinese is so fast. It's just like one syllable for everything. This is my official linguistics take. Chinese is so fast. So that would also not be fun to watch, is me going back because I missed stuff. Yeah, they get to be fast because they have tones, so they can put more phonetic stuff onto each syllable, and I need to do that phonology lecture. You speak Chinese? Which one? Do you speak Mandarin or Cantonese or a different one? It's hard to learn? Yeah, I imagine. A bunch of people that I went to grad school with studied Chinese and spoke Chinese. Just Mandarin? So Mandarin, I think, that's the one that it's kind of your default-ish, right? Because Cantonese is also very common. And I'd almost want to learn Cantonese, to be honest. Just because I like how it sounds. And most people don't say that. But what I like about how it sounds is what other people seem to dislike about how it sounds. Anyway. On to me, not knowing anything really about the languages, because I haven't actually studied them. I've just heard people talking them. Yeah, that's correct grammar. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna say that's correct grammar. I heard people talking them.
By the duty.
I haven't much time.
This.
Okay, Marcel. Do you have any rumors, Marcel? See, his voice was something like, "Have you heard? 7 victims here in Vivec, all with their throats slit? When it was just a few outlanders killed, the Ordinators weren't making much fuss, but now that they've had 2 of their own people with slit throats, they seem to be very concerned at the Hall of Justice. I've heard that the Office of the Watch is quietly looking around for some special help. Anything that can kill 2 Ordinators before they can draw their weapons sounds like it will need special help." Okay. Updated that. Slippers of Doom. Can I buy these and give them to someone I don't like? And if I do that, will they put them on? You preferred me doing the woman's accent. I don't even remember what I did for the woman's accent now. So he's selling a bunch of spoiled potions and Slippers of Doom. I don't think I trust you very much, Marcel. This is an enchanter. You did generic posh high elf accent. I'm sure I did. Oh, when I said I don't remember what I did with that, for that, I mean, I don't remember what I did with my voice. Like,
Let's hear it.
did I go nasally? What was I using for my vowels?
Spit it
Where did I
out
put
or
my
hit the
vowel
road.
space? Honestly, kind of sexy.
You'll get more.
Generic posh high elf accent sexy. Confirmed. Right, this is I'm looking for the bookstore. That's not the bookstore. That's a Fletcher. Maybe I'm not finding the bookstore. Where's the bookstore? I should just look on the map. What am I doing? Look on the map. There should be the bookstore. They said there it is. Jobashi's Warebook. I'm not even gonna address what I just said.
You talk too much.
Yeah, this way. No, it's an alchemist. Oh, here we are. The rare books. Jobashi's rare books. No, Jobasha's rare books. I can read. Look at all the books.
Let's not make this official.
There's more books.
Move along.
This was an unexpected delight. Yes, Azu.
Talk.
Hello, Chobasha. And thank you for the redeem, Kittyfly. I saw it, but I was distracted by books. Okay, Chobasha. Have you heard of the Chronicles of Nchuleft? Yes, Jobasha knows the Chronicles of Nchuleft. Perhaps Jobasha has a copy. Well, do you? Or do you not? I knew you'd love this place. You were right about me, Kittyfly. You were right. Okay, let's barter. Does he have the Chronicles of Nchuleft? And how much does it cost if he does? Wait, he has all of A Dance in Fire? So I realized something the other day when I was putting stuff on, these are alphabetical. He actually has stuff sorted alphabetically, y'all. It was Chronicles, right? So I should be... What was I gonna say? I realized I thought that I had, read all of the Wolf Queen in Oblivion. But I haven't. I've only read like 3 out of 8 books. So I'm pretty sure in Oblivion I have turned my nose up at some copies of the Wolf Queen that I definitely should have picked up and read. Right, I have a search bar, Kittyfly. Thank you. I think you told me that before. And I forgot. Alright, I will get this Chronicles of Nchuleft. I have done that. Thank you, please come again. And my journal doesn't update, I've noticed. Like, when you pick up a thing, it doesn't necessarily update to tell you, okay, now you gotta take it back. It's just your journal says you need the thing and you need to take it here. And then it updates when you finish the you need to take it here bit. Alright, so I'm gonna start over here. I have read Homilies of Blessed Amalexia. The thing is, Jobasha, I wouldn't be surprised at all if you had books in your desk or in your wooden chest, but you're standing here looking at me, so I can't access them to see.
What
Do you see the
choice?
problem?
We'll have
Jobasha?
no trouble here.
No, no trouble. You should go, Ordinator. Ah. Ordinators have the really fancy stuff. Anyway, Joe Basha, you should go, so I can... Alright. Well, I'll go over here. And I think... Ooh, where to start? I'll start at this bookshelf, because it's kind of... Then I can kind of work my way around like this.
Keep moving.
So I'll start at this bookshelf, and let's see. Antecedents of Dwemer Law. The Arcturian Heresy. Cherim's Heart of Anequina. Yeah, pretty sure those are all new. So let's read. Antecedents of Dwemer Law. This book is a historical account of the development of Dwemer law and custom from its roots in High Elven culture. In short, so far as I am able to trace the order of development in the customs of the Bosmeri tribes, I believe it to have been in all ways comparable to the growth of Altmeri law. The earlier liability for slaves and animals was mainly confined to surrender, which, as in Somerset Isles, later became compensation. And what does this matter today? And what does this matter for a study of our laws today? So far as concerns the influence of the Altmeri law upon our own, especially the Altmeri law of master and servant, the evidence of it is to be found in every judgment which has been recorded for the last 500 years. It has been stated already that we still repeat the reasoning of the Altmeri magistrates, empty as it is, to the present day, and I will quickly show how Altmeri custom can be followed into the courts of the Dwemer. In the laws of Carndar Watch, PD 1180, it is said, if one who is owned by another slays one who is owned by another slays one who owns himself, the owner must pay the associates 3 fine instruments and the body of the one who is owned. There are many other similar citations, and the same principle is extended even to the case of a centurion by which a man is killed. If, at the common workbench, one is slain by an animunculi, the associates of the slain may disassemble the animunculi and take its parts within 30 days. It is instructive to compare what Dark has mentioned concerning the rude beasts of the Tenmar forests. If a marsh cat was killed by an Argonian, his family were in disgrace till they retaliated by killing the Argonian or another like it. But further, if a marsh cat was killed by a fall from a tree, his relatives would take the revenge by toppling the tree and shattering its branches and casting them to every part of the forest. Interesting. Antecedents of Dwemer Law. So, then, do we know a bunch about Dwemer Law? I know we don't know much about Dwemer religion. According to the books, at any rate. Have I read this one? Let me double check. Nope. Okay. The Arcturian Heresy. The Underking, Ysmir Kingmaker. With his god destroyed, Wulfharth finds it hard to keep his form. He staggers out of Red Mountain to the battlefield beyond. The world has shaken, and all of Morrowind is made of fire. A strong gale picks up and blows his ashes back to Skyrim. Wulfharth adopts and is adopted by the Norns then. Ysmir the Grey Wind, the Storm of Kine. But through Lorcan, he lost his national identity. All he wants the Nords for is to kill the Tribunal. He raises a storm, sends in his people, and is driven back by Tribunal forces. The Dunmer are too strong now. Wulfharth goes underground to wait and strengthen and reform his body anew. Oddly enough, it is Almalexia who disturbs his rest, summoning the Underking to fight alongside the Tribunal against Adasum Dir Kamal, the Akaviri demon. Wulfharth disappears after Adasum is defeated and does not return for 300 years. It is the rumbling of the Greybeards that wakes him. Though the Empire has crumbled, there are rumors that a chosen one will come to restore it. This new emperor will defeat the elves and rule a united Tamriel. Naturally, Wulfharth thinks he is the figure of prophecy. He goes directly to High Hrothgar to hear the Greybeards speak. When they do, Ysmir is blasted to ash again. He is not the chosen one. It is a warrior youth from High Rock. As the Grey Wind goes to find the boy, he hears the Greybeards' warning. Remember the color of betrayal, King Wulfharth. The Western Reach was at war. Cuchulainn, the king of Falkreath and the king of Falkreath and West Cyrodiil, was in a bad situation. To make any bid at unifying the Colovian estates, he needed to secure his northern border, where the Nords and Reachmen had been fighting for centuries. He allies with Skyrim at the Battle of Old Hroldon. Leading his forces was Hjalti Earlybeard. Hjalti was from the island kingdom of Alcair in High Rock and would become Tiber Septim, the first emperor of Tamriel. Hjalti was a shrewd tactician, and his small band of Colovian troops and Nord berserkers broke the Reachmen line, forcing them back beyond the gates of Old Hroldon. A siege seemed impossible, as Hjalti could expect no reinforcements from Falkreath. That night, a storm came and visited Hjalti's camp. It spoke with him in his tent. At dawn, Hjalti went up to the gates, and the storm followed just above his head. Arrows could not penetrate the winds around him. He shouted down the walls of Old Hroldon, and his men poured in. After their victory, the Nords called Hjalti Talos, or Stormcrown. Cuchulainn, with his new invincible general, unifies West Cyrodiil in under a year. No one can stand before Hjalti's storms. The Underking knows that if Hjalti is to become Emperor of Tamriel, he must first capture the Eastern Heartland. Hjalti uses them both. He needs Cuchulainn in the Colovian estates, where foreigners are mistrusted. It is obvious why he needs Ysmir. They march on the east, the battle mages surrender before their armies, and they take the citadel. Before Cuchulainn can be crowned, Hjalti secretly murders him and his loyalist contingent. These assassinations are blamed on the enemies of Cuchulainn, which, for political reasons, are still the Western Reach. Zurin Arctis, the Grand Battle Mage, not the Underking, then crowns Hjalti as Tiber Septim, the new emperor of all Cyrodiil. After he captures the imperial throne, Septim finds the initial administration of a fully united Cyrodiil a time-consuming task. He sends the Underking to deal with imperial expansion into Skyrim and High Rock. Ysmir, mindful that it might seem as if Tiber Septim is in two places at once, works behind the scenes. This period of level-headed statesmanship and diplomacy, this sudden silence, heretofore unknown in the roaring tales of Talosian conquest, are explained away later. The assassination story is embroidered. Now it is popularly Talos' own throat that was cut. The human kingdoms are conquered, even Hammerfell, whose capture was figured to be an arduous task. The Underking wants a complete invasion, a chance to battle their foreign wind spirits himself, but Tiber Septim refutes him. He has already made a better plan, one that will seem to legitimize his rule. Cyrodiil supports the losing side of a civil war and are invited in. Finally, the Empire can turn its eyes onto the elves. The Underking continues to press on Tiber Septim the need to conquer Morrowind. The Emperor is not sure that it is a wise idea. He has heard of the Tribunal's power. The Underking wants his vengeance and reminds Tiber Septim that he is fated to conquer the elves, even the Tribunal. Arctis advises against the move, but Septim covets the ebony in Morrowind as he sorely needs a source of capital to rebuild Cyrodiil after 400 years of war. The Underking tells him that, with the Tribunal dead, Septim might steal the Tribunal's power and use it against the High Elves, certainly the oldest enemies in Lorkhan, predating even the Tribunal. Somerset Isle is the farthest thing from Tiber Septim's mind. Even then, he was planning to send Zurin Arctis to the King of Alinor to make peace. The ebony needs wins out in the end. The Empire invades Morrowind, and the Tribunal give up. When certain conditions of the armistice include not only a policy of non-interference with the Tribunal, but also, in the Underking's eyes, a validation of their religious beliefs, Ysmir is furious. He abandons the Empire completely. This was the betrayal the Greybeard spoke of, or so he thinks. Without the Underking's power, all the ideas of conquering Tamriel vanish. It would have been nice, Septim thinks, but let's just worry about Cyrodiil and the human nations. Already there is rebellion in Hammerfell. Pieces of Numidium trickle in, though. Tiber Septim, always fascinated by the dwarves, has Zurin Arctis research this grand artifact. In doing so, Arctis stumbles upon some of the stories of the war at Red Mountain. He discovers the reason the Numidium was made and some of its potential. Most importantly, he learns the Underking's place in the war. But Zurin Arctus was working from incomplete plans. He thinks it is the heart of Lorcan's body that is needed to power the Numidium. While Zurin Arctus is raving about his discovery, the prophecy finally becomes clear to Tiber Septim. This Numidium is what he needs to conquer the world. It is his destiny to have it. He contacts the Underking and says he was right all along. They should kill the tribunal, and they need to get together and make a plan. While the Underking was away, he realized the true danger of Dagoth-Ur. Something must be done, but he needs an army, and his old one is available again. The trap is set. The Underking arrives and is ambushed by Imperial guards. As he takes them on, Zurin Arctus uses a soul gem on him. With his last breath, the Underking's heart roars a hole through the battle mage's chest. In the end, everyone is dead. The Underking has reverted back to ash, and Tiber Septim strolls in to take the soul gem. When the Elder Council arrives, he tells them about the second attempt on his life, this time by his trusted battle mage Zurin Arctus, who was attempting a coup. He has the dead guards celebrated as heroes, even the one who was blasted to ash. He warns Cyrodiil about the dangers within, but says he has a solution to the dangers without: the Mantella. The Numidium, while not the god Tiber Septim and the Dwemer hoped for, the Underking was not exactly Lorcan after all, does the job. After its work on Somerset Isle, a new threat appears: a rotting undead wizard who controls the skies. He blows the Numidium apart, but it pounds him into the ground with its last flailing, leaving only a black splotch. The Mantella falls into the sea, seemingly forever. Meanwhile, Tiber Septim crowns himself the first emperor of Tamriel. He lives until he is 108, the richest man in history. All aspects of his early reign are rewritten. Still, there are conflicting reports of what really happened, and this is why there is such confusion over such questions as: why does Alcair claim to be the birthplace of Talos, while other sources say he came from Atmora? Why does Tiber Septim seem to be a different person after his first roaring conquests? Why does Tiber Septim betray his battle mage? Is the Mantella the heart of the battle mage, or is it the heart of Tiber Septim? Tiber Septim is succeeded by his grandson. Pelagius I. Pelagius is just not of the same caliber. In truth, he's a little nervous with all these provinces. Then, an advisor shows up. "I was friends with your grandfather," the Underking says. "He sent me to help you run the empire." I like that one. The Arcturian Heresy. I also feel like I learned something, but I think it's meant to be fiction, so maybe it didn't. I don't know. Let's see. Cherim's Heart of Anequina. Anequina? I don't know. Interviews with Tapistrists. Volume 18. Cherim's Heart of Anequina by Levilis Paris, professor at the Imperial University. Contemporary with Makamat Lusine, interviewed in Volume 17 of this series, is the Khajiit Cherim, whose tapestries have been hailed as masterpieces all over the Empire for nigh on 30 years now. His 4 factories located throughout elsewhere make reproductions of his work, but his original tapestries command stellar prices. The Emperor himself owns 10 Cherim tapestries, and his representatives are currently negotiating the sale of 5 more. The muted use of color, contrasted with the luminous skin tones of Cherim's subjects, is a marked contrast with the old style of tapestry. The subjects of his work in recent years have been fabulous tales of the ancient past: the gods meeting to discuss the formation of the world, the Chimer following the prophet Veloth into Morrowind, the wild elves battling Morrihouse and his legions at the White Gold Tower. His earliest designs dealt with more contemporary subjects. I had the opportunity to discuss with him one of his first masterpieces, The Heart of Anequina, at his village in Orcrest. The Heart of Anequina presents an historic battle of the 5-year war between Elsewhere and Valenwood, which raged from 3rd Era 394, or 3rd Era 395, depending on what one considers to be the beginning of the war, until 3rd Era 399. In most fair accounts, the war lasted 4 years and 9 months, but artistic license from the great epic poets added an additional 3 months to the ordeal. The actual details of the battle itself, as interpreted by Cherim, are explicit. The faces of 120 Wood Elf archers can be differentiated from the other, each registering... The faces of 120 Wood Elf archers can be differentiated one from the other, each registering fear at the approach of the Khajiit army. Their hauberks catch the dim light of the sun. The menacing shadows of the elsewhere battle cats loom on the hills, every muscle strained, ready to pounce on command. It is not surprising that he got all the details right, because Cherim was in the midst of it as a Khajiit foot soldier. Every minute part of the Khajiiti medium-weight armor can be seen in the soldiers in the foreground. The embroidered edging and striped patterns on the tunics, each lacquered plate on loose-fitting leather in the elsewhere style, the helmets of cloth and fluted silver. Cherim does not understand the point of plate mail, said Cherim. It is hot, for one, like being both burned and buried alive. Cherim wore it at the insistence of our Nord advisors during the Battle of Zelinin, and Cherim couldn't even turn to see what my fellow Khajiit were doing. Cherim did some sketches for a tapestry of the Battle of Zelinin, but Cherim finds that to make it realistic, the figures came out very mechanical, like iron golems or Dwemer centurions. Knowing our Khajiiti commanders, Cherim would not be surprised if giving up the heavy plate was more aesthetic than practical. Elsewhere lost the Battle of Zelinin, didn't she? Yes, but Elsewhere won the war, starting at the next battle, the heart of Anequina, said Cherim with a smile. The tide turned as soon as we Khajiit sent our Nordic advisors back to Solitude. We had to get rid of all the heavy armor they brought us and find enough traditional medium armor our troops felt comfortable wearing. Obviously, the principal advantage of the medium armor was that we could move easily in it, as you can see from the natural stances of the soldiers in the tapestry. Now, if you look at this poor perforated Talara who just keeps battling on in the bottom background, you'll see the other advantage. It seems strange to say, but one of the best features of medium armor is that an arrow will either deflect completely or pass all the way through. An arrowhead is like a hook, made to stick where it strikes if it doesn't pass through. A soldier in medium armor will find himself with a hole in his body and the bolt on the other side. Our healers can fix such a wound easily if it isn't fatal, but if the arrow still remains in the armor, as it does with heavier armor, the wound will be reopened every time the fellow moves. Unless the Khajiit strips off the armor and pulls out the arrow, which is what we had to do at the Battle of Zelinin. A difficult and time-consuming process in the heat of battle, to say the least. I asked him next, is there a self-portrait in the battle? Yes, Cherim said with another grin. You see the small figure of the Khajiit stealing the rings off the dead wood elf? His back is facing you, but he has a brown and orange striped tail like Cherim's. Cherim does not say that all stereotypes about the Khajiit are fair, but Cherim must sometimes acknowledge them. A self-deprecating style and self-portraiture is also evident in the tapestries of Ranulf Hook, the next artist interviewed in volume 19 of this series. Oh, I'm so curious. Do I get all the volumes? All of the volumes? I would love that. Cherim's Heart of Anequina. That would be nice. It would be nice to have all the volumes. Alright, how many books do I have left here? The Eastern Provinces, pretty sure... No, I don't think I read the Eastern Provinces. I think I saw it somewhere, but I didn't read it yet. Because I was, like, doing something. Yeah. I'm looking... It's been, like, 3.5 hours. So, I'm seeing how many of these books I have not read. And it looks like the Eastern Provinces might be the only one on that shelf I haven't read.
Not now. Head on.
Kind of decide if I want to keep reading and read them all today. I got the Madness of Pelagius. So that's 2, 3. Or leave them for next time. Oh no, we gotta leave them for next time. Because you see here, I got the Real Barons on it. Oh, only 1 and 3. I've read 2. So 1 and 3 are the ones I need. Alright, so I'll save it for next time. Because these 2 books are gonna take like half the stream. Oh! Someone on YouTube wanted mentioned this book and said they couldn't wait for me to read this book. There's another floor as well. Okay, yeah. I think next stream will also be a we're reading stuff stream. But I gotta read this one because someone on YouTube commented that they couldn't wait for me to read this one. I don't remember what I was reading that made them comment that. Oh, I think I went on a linguistic rant. I think that's what it was. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, looking at this now. Yeah. It's for sure one of the books to read. It is, yep. Alright, let's have fun with this. How long is it? Okay. Okay. Ngasta Kvata Kvakis. An obscure text in the language of the Slode, purportedly written by the Second Era Western necromancer Ngasta. Ngasta Kvata Kvakis. Ngasta Kvata Kvakis. Axtas so novaj klektero oichemele so raintau. Risavus kin pachintaj membrau kaj aliaj individual cun yaminere tuskas. I'm gonna try this again. Hang on. This one's going straight to #1 place in your top 5. I gotta try it again. I'm gonna try it again. I'm just gonna try reading like it's like IPA. Alright. Gasta Kvata Kvakis. Achstas so novai chletero oich Yehemile so ranetau rikebas ghin pagintai membrau kai aliai individual kiuin yamaniere tuskas so raneta activado en ghi aperas informal unuavice pri so locau so monatai kun venau sed nature anquich pri aliai actuasoi. This is not working. I'm starting over a third time. Ngasta Kvata Kvakis. Axtas so nova gilatero oix gemele so raintau. Risivus gin paginataj membrau kaj aliaj individual cun yameri tuxas so renata activado. Engi aperas informal unuvice pri so locau so quiu montage cun venau. Engi aperas informal unuvice pri so locau so quio montage cun venau, sed nature anquax pri aliage actua soj activa cao so societo. Ne malofte enaxtas crom plej diversaspecta materialo educa oich distra. So interrata cavaco ret litera kaj veriahau axtas unufonque alternativage canaso por distribui so and having so papera kavak. Sed alif sonque so en havau so diversage vergau antoix vible ne povus kaj ex ne vus siam axti cente procente sosama. Em malavaste circusonte perpefolio exempel obsesso publicige illustritiam quij pro Quis pro copyrightage chiasaune axtas use besoj enso interreto. Alifasonque so masalatage costal reta distribuo, forigas so spacane, limigoan kaj permacasis pli amplixan en haven. Porne paroli pregishora actualeco. Twij circunstancao roxbelugios en so aspecto so cavacoa quiu jas entere serbos an ancoix kiel generaso retejoso ranetao. It's so weird. At times I almost feel like I can't understand it because it's like, it's weirdly close to Spanish in places. Wait, can I start again? I know. I started 3 times. Nagasta, Kvata, Kvakis. You're glad she did it. It does sound kind of Latin. Yeah, that's probably what it is. That's sounding Latin. Ngasta, Kvata, Kvakis is like the lorem ipsum of Morrowind, I guess. Alright, I'm gonna save here. And next time I will be like, I'm in a bookstore in Vivec, right? That's where I'm at? I'm in Vivec, I think. You think it's some strange version of Esperanto? Maybe. With some, like, X's and J's thrown in for fun. Do you like how the books in Morrowind are so expensive? Seems like more real world without a printer. Yeah. Like, I was wondering about that one day. Do they have printers? Because they have books, so they must have printers. But then you look at the books and you're like, well, actually, no, the books here, they do look printed. They don't look like someone wrote them. So they must have printers if they have books. Right? 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 Thank you, Kitty Fly. Alright, I'll save. And I will say the great big thank you to everyone for being here. I do appreciate you. You could be anywhere, and you chose to come hang out with me. And I appreciate that. It tickles me. I'm so happy.
Keep moving.
And can I see?
We're watching you.